Welcome back to another episode of the Rollin on My 5.0 podcast with KASL Customs and the Infamous Project. On this episode, we start things off on a little bit of a sadder note because the night before we recorded, my good buddy Pete Schakowsky went to bed and sadly enough did not wake up the following day. So I start things off telling some old war stories about Pete in his memory. Pete was an absolute beauty of a guy and one of my best buddies. He had a beautiful 1987 black GT, red interior, and that car lives on through his son Cade. Cade is in the middle of a restoration on that car and turning it into something that I think both him and Pete will be proud of. Our hearts go out to Pete and Cade and Julie and family. We are very sorry for your loss and we're praying for you. We then move on to discuss a topic that we tried to open up to the community. We went on Instagram Live, which turned into a complete disaster. So I don't even know if this is going to make its way into the podcast. We had echoing and technical difficulties. We need Jesse from the 50 Asylum to come over and give us some help on the tech side of things. So I don't even know if that's going to make it in here, folks. If you don't hear it in the podcast and you want to hear it, go over and check it out on the Infamous Project or KASL Customs Instagram pages. It'll be there. We then move into Galveston, Texas, Mustang Week. Chris and a whole host of his buds went down there. And as one can assume, they had some technical difficulties with the cars. They had some shenanigans. So Chris tells us all about that. And then to wrap things up, we get into a little bit of a Canadian political discussion at the end of this podcast. I think I'll just leave that one there. So with all that being said, we hope you enjoy this podcast. Hey, dude, what's happening?
Oh, not much. Shit, you must be working clean today with that light colored shirt on.
Oh, dude, I think this camera's like misleading. This thing is definitely off-white.
Well, it's definitely not a crisp starch white. It looks like one of those white shirts that has been mixed in with darks for about the past 5 years. But
oh yeah,
it's not like I see grease all over it and shit.
No, it's yeah, definitely off-white. It's more of a brown or beige than a white. And much like you, right? And I learned this about you when we've been doing our cross-country trips. There's one load that goes in every week, right? And everything goes in that fucking load. Everything gets dealt with and you move on, right? So
Yep.
it's probably one of the only white shirts I own, to be honest with you.
Oh, really? See, I'm a huge white shirt guy. I go through them all the time.
Well, that was the thing, right? Remember back in the day, like the dress shirt days and stuff, and having like whatever, some guys rocked a crew neck, some guys rocked a V, but something. I mean, at least I think this was the principle behind it is, like if you're gonna be out in the heat, the undershirt's gonna sort of knock the sweat down before you like soak through your dress shirt, right? So I was always buying those. And actually, funny enough, here, let's get real personal. I used to be like a fucking armpit sweating mess. I don't know what it was, right? Like bad glands, whatever the hell. So I would go through those undershirts like crazy, right? They had like the nasty colored Frisbees under the arm. And then I had a buddy that he and I used to kind of joke about both of us having the same problem at the same time. He ends up finding this shit that is like a roll-on stick that literally like stops you from sweating. I don't know what it does to your body. Probably
pure
like
aluminum.
Yeah, piles you full of copper, aluminum, like some other foreign material. But when it's that bad, right? You're willing to do anything. So yeah. I got on that shit. And then I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to dump the undershirt. And I still remember the first day I did it. I was like, oh God, like this could go bad. If I got a big meeting or something and I'm just like right down to my belt loops and sweat, nothing. And then I don't know if I loaded my pores up enough that I never ever had an issue with it ever again. I don't even rock antiperspirant, just straight up deodorant.
So funny that you bring this up because when I first moved, or maybe like a year into being into Dubai, like obviously at this point I'm in 3-piece suits. It's 120 degrees outside. And like, albeit, yeah, you're in air conditioning in the conference room, but you're still getting from your car to inside the building, and like you'll sweat up, and like the layers help. They do help initially, but then it gets to that point where it's like, okay, now it's just seeping through and I'd wear the vest too, right? Like proper 3-piece.
Right.
And man, I went on the same thing you did. I was like, okay, like what is the ultimate antiperspirant thing here? And funny enough, being in Dubai, everything is very, oh, what's the word? Like plastic surgery and all that shit. So the focus there, you can get Botox in your armpits and it'll block your glands to keep you
I've
from
heard about this.
right?
Yeah.
So me and my buddy, we decide, we're going to go on like this. You try these, I'm going to try these. And then like we report back. But funny enough, your body, we come to learn this later because it just seemed like nothing was working. Your body actually takes months to adapt to a change in like your antiperspirant or deodorant. Like you almost need to detox before something else will like potentially have the effectiveness that you're looking for. And of course, it's that whole thing, like you got all these different scents, and then like you want like natural stuff, and like you're trying to avoid the aluminums. And dude, I just kind of, at one point, I think I just decided to embrace it because I always use like Right Guard, the gel. The gel always worked good for me, like within reason. And so I tried like the new Old Spice and the Arm and Hammers and the this and the that, and the doctor fucking close as a prescription as you can get over the counter stuff. And I just ended up, what did I switch to? Something that was pretty natural. Like I'm on Native now, and it works quite well. But yeah, to the point, man, like it's kind of weird. Like your body almost just needs to like normalize and get used to it because, I was like you, and I always wore the undershirt to like grab that. And because I never wanted my good white t-shirt, because that was a thing, like a blank white t-shirt was all you needed at one point.
Yeah.
Like that was dress attire. As long as it was crisp and it was clean and it fit right. And like, I remember going on a mission just to, you buy like a $30 blank white t-shirt just because like it didn't go wide as the, you know what I mean? Like the Gildans do, like large XL, double XL, they just get wider. They don't get longer. And then you wash them a couple times and they start shrinking. Like they just turn into like this wide body t-shirt, if you will.
Yeah.
So it's too funny. To this day, I'm still very particular about my t-shirts, but like I remember when Foot Locker actually had a line of t-shirts, because if you didn't have white on white, let's say it was white on black like this, and you can see the white of my undershirt right now.
Yeah.
Foot Locker came out with a shirt that had a white, like inlaid, stitched in thing. So it just showed you this lip, and it would do it around the neck and around the sleeves. So it was like this perfect two-tone appearance that you could get out of. So you'd have solid red with a white, edge, or solid blue or black or whatever it was. And it was literally the trend. I don't know if anybody would remember this, but it was.
But you weren't double thick.
You weren't double thick. That's right.
Right. Huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Before we get too far into the weeds here, I got to, I've brought this guy up before. I got a kind of a shitty story to tell. So you remember actually when we had Adam on and I was talking about my buddy that had the torn ass and his little guy had the SHO Taurus. Well, I come to find out he passed away this morning. So, yeah. And, weird.
Wait, the little guy or the dad? The dad.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
But like in our wheelhouse, 47 years young, and, it didn't wake up. So, I mean, I guess all things considered, he went out like everybody hopes to. But this is the guy. So again, I thought I'd tell a couple stories kind of in memorial to Pete. So Pete Chikowski is his name. Absolute salt of the earth dude. And I know typically whenever anyone or someone dies, everyone's like, oh, he was such a good guy, right? I'm still waiting for the day to go to a funeral and go, this guy was a fucking asshole. Like he really deserved to go, But anyway, Pete was an absolute beauty. This is the same dude that when I went to my first year automotive service tech in Lethbridge, Alberta, and I drove into the Ford dealership and noticed all the Foxes along the back line, he pulled out in a Ford Aerostar van that he had just changed the oil in. Nice car, dude. And I'm like, what the fuck are all these cars doing along the back fence? Well, that one's mine, and that one's Johnny's, and that one's Harley's, and on and on. This was the foxbody crew that I met when I moved to Lethbridge. And Pete was the catalyst of it all. And we like instantly connected, thick as thieves, all the way through. Now, as life goes, sadly enough, right? Everybody gets busy, and shit, I haven't talked to Pete in, I don't even know now, like probably a year almost, sadly enough. But yeah, got this damn news this morning about him. And he did. So his son, who's also a great dude, he actually has like taken over Pete's old black GT 87.
Oh, is this the one you had the stories that he drove the living piss out of it and all of that? Okay, all right, I know the guy because I remember the stories. And the son took over the car and doing mods and stuff, and it lives on, and it still has a smell in it or whatever.
100%.
Yeah.
Yep. Black on red.
Yeah.
Even back when fuel was cheap, Pete drove around with like less than an eighth of a tank in that thing at all times. One, because he was a cheap cunt, and two, because you never knew if you're going to see a race on the streets, right? So he just wanted to be as lightweight as possible. But yeah, that car, well, I would say in the day, it was probably like pound for pound, probably one of the better, more well set up, like kind of had the catalog thrown at it type cars. He initially, it was all like suspension and actually ROHs he had on it too. I think, truth be told, that was probably the first set I ever laid eyes on.
Right.
Because this kind of goes back to me growing up in a small town and not having a whole lot of life experience at that point in my life. So, and lowered bunch of JBA shit on it. Super cool car. And then anyway, as years went on and it sat and collected dust, he'd get into the beers on New Year's and like go out and start it in -30, just for fun and blow the carbon out of it. But yeah, his little guy, Cade, took it over, and he's been going whole hog. Like he's got a blower on it now and all kinds of stuff. So the old, I think he called it Black Sunshine or something. Anyway, right. Black Sunshine lives on. So Pete's car's still out there beating the streets and doing its thing. But yeah, that poor bastard didn't wake up this morning. So shitty deal.
That is a shitty deal. Sorry to hear that, man.
No, thanks, buddy. Yeah, it's one of those things, right? You're just like, we're all busy and everybody gets in their rut of life and going in every direction. And we all, sadly enough, think we're invincible, right? And immortal for that matter. And then, yeah, something like this hits you and kind of reminds you that life's short, man. And you never know,
That's true. That's very, very true.
Yeah. So anyway, Petey, if you're up there listening to this, buddy, we're thinking about you. And I don't know it. Well, he was never really much of a social media guy, even though he did have, he's got an Instagram page and a Facebook page and stuff. I tagged him in that reel we put up on the Instagram for the Rollin in my 5.0, right? And I never heard anything back, and that was whatever, 3-4 weeks ago now. And I was like, fuck, I thought I'd have you in tears, buddy. But anyway, not much of a social media guy, so it probably went right past him. But I know his boy saw it and thought it was funny. He still remembered the story. So,
oh, yeah. Damn.
Well, so anyway, yeah, I thought I'd get that out of the way so we can, pay our tributes to Pete, and then we can get into the other stuff. But I told you just before we hit record, buddy. So folks, we quite literally, just to give you a little background on how this all works, Chris and I sit down, we see each other, and we've screwed up a few times. Fuck, we've even forgot to hit record, but we'll get to bullshitting. And then it's like, shit, like this would have been fun to record or good to talk about. So I see his face. I'm like, dude, I got two things we got to do. I think you'll like them both. One was tell the story about Pete. Two was, I've brought this up a couple times. I think we should go live on the gram when we're doing the pod here for
All
just
right.
a little snippet for fun.
Yeah. Yeah, that wouldn't be all that bad of an idea. And you know what? You actually forgot last week's takeaway, because after we hit whatever end recording, we
Yeah.
started talking about the whole built not bought thing.
Oh, right.
And we're like, we need
Yeah.
to remember this for next week's pod. So that's one thing on my side. Another thing on my side before I forget is I do want to give two shout outs. Number one to Michael Johnson. I know there's a lot of Michael Johnsons out there, but the 417 Fox Michael Johnson, because he was nice enough to take this patch of mine and stick it on this hat and send it to me. He actually made me a beanie as well. So those
Nice.
showed up. Yeah. So that was super cool of him. He's, kind of the foxbody merch guy these days. So
Do you know, dude? Like, is he set up to do that all himself?
yeah,
Or
so that was the I guess what I learned at Pitts, right? Because I went up to him and I think he had some patches of his own or something that was going on. And I was like, damn, dude, like I have all these patches from when I did my mechanic shirts. I got extras made because I wanted to get some, stitched on to some beanies or whatever. If I get another run of shirts made, it was cheaper to get 100, done than 50. So he's like, yeah, no, man, I'm all set up. I got the glue, I got the machines, and I got whatever. So yeah, he's doing it all in house now.
right. That's not a cheap endeavor. I've told you before, like my brother ran down that road for a few years, actually more than a few. He did it like for quite a while. And I remember they started out with like a used embroidery machine. And I mean, that thing used wasn't cheap. And then they bought one like brand new. And this thing was high tech. And, you put the USB stick in. Hell, maybe, no, it would have been before like computers airdropping shit, right? So you probably had to transfer with a stick. But I want to say that machine was $100,000. Like, not a cheap unit. And it was always fucking up. And they're much like a CNC machine, right? Like you could be 3 hours into a stitch job and blow a needle and you're fucked, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and like they always need a crazy file format that's like proprietary to some shit. And yeah, it's
Yeah.
I could see that being an endeavor for sure.
Yep. The cheaper end of it, but like the messier end of it was the silk screening side of things. Cause you'd have to like burn whatever logo into the screen. And then obviously lay down your color, swipe it. That side of it was easy, but then there was all the cleanup. Like you'd have to blow the old logo out of it so you could have your screen ready for the next one. And it's well, the silk screening for sure, very labor intensive. Like you're just sitting there swiping color across screens onto shirts all day and whatever. And you kind of, it's mind numbing too, because obviously the shirt and the logo need to be straight. Like there's a whole thing. So I guess where I'm going with all this is I didn't realize Mike was doing that himself. For what it's all worth, folks, like support your local guys, because I know firsthand what it's like to do that shit. It's not easy. And if he's invested in whatever, make sure you check him out and see if you can support him.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was a nice surprise this week. And then so today, we had, it's kind of that time of year, right? Hot and cold weather and storms and this and that. So we were supposed to get some wind and everything. So I asked the missus, like, oh, you want to go walk down to the trash can? I'm going to go fucking strap it to the property line stake. So, the thing
Don't
doesn't
blow away.
Yeah. So we start walking down and UPS truck, pulls up. I'm like, you expecting something? She's like, I don't think so. And, like the driveway is fairly long. So we're pretty much like halfway down. I'm like, man, that kind of looks like a cooler box, like this big white, like styrofoam style cooler. And I'm like, that's odd. I'm like, you order some food or some shit? Cause she does.
Yeah,
Right?
getting some fish.
And she's like, no. And I walk up to it and it's from fucking Omaha Steaks. And I see the packing list right on the front of it. And it's like filet mignon and this smash burgers and this and that. Like there's 25 pounds of fucking meat in this thing.
Jesus. Gotta go
And
get the truck.
yeah. So Brit's like, that must be wrong delivery. I'm like, it's to the goddamn Infamous Project. Like somebody sent me steak.
Yeah.
And somebody did. So there was like a little place to put remarks down on the bottom, and it was actually from our boy who's done some signage for us, Jarrett.
No way.
Yep. So he sent and said, hope you keep healthy and all is well, and all through your times, and thinking of you. And I was like, damn, what a fucking nice surprise from the community.
Oh my God, dude. That, me and my shivers, but yeah, that one got me.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. Hey.
So Jarrett, thank you so much. Nice. Like there's like chicken cutlets in there and like breasts and these tenderloins and strip steaks and smash burgers. And yeah, it'll, it won't be wasted. We'll put it that way.
No doubt. Oh, that's amazing, dude. This, this community, eh? Like, well, I don't know. It's even more than that, right? Like I know we've all got like way too many stories of run-ins with this, that, or the other person, or like people on the street even, you know what I mean? Just crazy shit, which I guess we're probably going to get into some of that tonight too. So maybe this is a good transition. But, the amount of good people that are truly out there. And the worst part about it is, like, good people are typically the quiet folks. You know what I mean? Just stick to themselves, do their thing, go to work on time, not a deadbeat, like not outspoken typically, right? Like just head down, ass up. Those are the good ones. And very rarely, because we're all out there in the wild world, staying busy and doing our thing, do we even ever get to appreciate these people, right? So, man, that's amazing that he'd go over and above like that. Like,
and
wow.
man, I know we talk about like serendipity and just everything happens for a reason. Like the timing was just spot on because like, well, like yesterday we were supposed to record this pod yesterday, and guys, I was folded. There was no way I had the mental capacity. I slept from 2 to 5 p.m., then from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m., and then from midnight to 9 o'clock this morning.
Jesus.
Like this last round absolutely knocked me on my ass. And it was just one of those things, like even getting up today, right after that, because like it's like a mind fuck. Because you're like, man, like I want to have energy. I want to be able to get shit done. And then it's like you're almost like you know what I mean? Like you want to move, but you don't feel good moving and everything else. So like, I don't know, for, the day turned out reasonably okay. And then, for that to come at the end, it was just like, okay, yes, like that's definitely a motivator to, you know what I mean? Be able to record the pod and do the thing. So yeah.
That's pretty wild, buddy. Actually, I had a situation like that today too, where I was like dragging my ass, towards the end of the day and before we started this. And like so much so that I'm just like, God, I don't even know how I'm going to get through this tonight. And then an email comes through, which I don't need to get into here. I'll tell you about it after, whatever. But email comes through, and I could literally feel my whole body just go from like, lugging along in fifth gear to like, boom, second gear, 3,000 RPM. Like, let's rock.
Yeah.
It's amazing how that you can shift your mindset like that. Well, in this case, both of us, it was like outside circumstances that like, boom, just literally shifted you that fast.
Yeah. No, it's you kind of get those days, right? Like shit's going wrong. You get a couple bad phone calls, get a couple bad emails, and then you get that one call, that one email, and everything else that can literally just make you stop dwelling on what the other shit is and put stuff back into perspective. So, and that's what I think is always the challenging thing of working by yourself when you don't have that other because a lot of guys are working on their projects by themselves. You know what I mean? So
Yep.
unless you got someone there, and that's why we post our shit on social media usually to get some sort of recognition. Usually we want positive comments, don't always get them, but it's sort
Yeah.
of like, okay, like, yeah, here, I made a little bit of progress. Like, give me a fucking virtual pat on the back so I can keep going and get this thing done,
Yeah.
So it's yeah, it's important, man, because yeah, you can get caught up with your thoughts so easily.
Yeah. The mind can be a very dangerous place to spend too much time in, Um, it's a weird thing too, because it's like the less you think, the better off you are. But we're kind of wired to be like, no, like I need to control the direction of the wind at all times. Right. And if I'm not, then I'm dropping the ball or I'm being lazy or I'm whatever. And it's like these things happen. Like in your scenario, right? You're walking down the driveway with the wife, going to strap a shit can to a pole. I'm driving in traffic, me and Sadie, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, when was this going to end? And ba-ding, I'm like, huh, no kidding, right? Somebody knew we needed it. I mean, it happened at perfect timing,
Yep. So
So,
how are we structuring? Because I got some Mustang Week stuff. We got Built Not Bought stuff. We got, well, Canada election stuff we need to touch on to a certain extent. And then you want to go live, and there was something else. There's lots of things here.
well, do you want to maybe let's make the live the built versus bought deal or built not bought?
Yeah, we can do that.
That'd probably be fun. Folks can chime in the comments and whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, well, if that's the case, what do you want to start with?
Well, we can start with some Mustang Week story and getting into that, because then it's a show, so we can talk about some of the cars that were there, and that's sort of a good built not bought scenario. Because actually, I think
Transition.
Justin's car is probably a really good question. If that car is that built or is that bought?
Right. Yeah, I think when we do it, you're going to have to start with your new, same beach ball but different angle look at it,
Yeah.
because that's it's a little tweak to the concept that I've
Mhm.
never really considered before. And
Yeah.
not because
In
it wasn't
fact,
there. Yeah,
yeah.
not because it wasn't already there. It's just when you hear it, you go like, shit. I never really thought about it that way. And
And
there's
I'm gonna pull it up too so that I don't fuck up the quote, because it was worded very correctly,
yeah. Yeah, because actually, well, there's pardon me, one guy that I can think of in this scenario, very well known, that has talked a lot about this, but I don't think has ever like thrown it into these words.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So okay, tell me about Mustang Week, buddy.
All
First
right.
one, Galveston.
Yeah, so first Mustang Week of Texas, and it was down to the wire. I think we left off. I did like the valve lash and got my rockers sorted and shit, and I still needed to bolt on the intake, or there were some finishing items. So I managed to do all that after the pod. I got the yellow belts in, and I even managed to get blood on the damn brand new yellow belts, because I had like this actually, you know what it was is when I was doing the lash and I had the bar on the crank pulley. So every time that I was rotating the motor over, my arm was rubbing against the belt, and it
Oh,
created like this like rug burn situation. And so I had some scabs from like the day before, or 2 days or whatever it was. So that night when I was putting the belts in, I didn't take the rear plastics fully out. I just took the hardware out that needed to be out to get to the retractor.
yeah.
And of course, my arm must have slipped against the plastic and like ripped the scab. And then my arm hit the fucking belt. And then so everything's in. And then it's like this big friggin' red spot on my brand new yellow seatbelt. Oh,
Oh,
so
where does it end up on the belt when you've got your belt on?
it would have been like kind of more waistline area, but I got some Dawn dish soap and I got it out. So that was all good. Um, yeah. So
And this is your first Mustang Week too, right? Like you've
Yeah.
never been to the one in the Carolinas?
No, never done that. So, they started, I think they kicked stuff off on the Thursday, maybe even Wednesday. I'm not 100% sure. Like it wasn't a whole week. Like we're talking half a week here, right? So, got with my neighbor. I think we touched on that, right? He had no compression, excuse me, in his
Yeah.
one cylinder. So I decided I'd let him drive the strawberry car because strawberry is like old faithful. So, yeah, he hops in strawberry. Me and Britt hop in the yellow car. Justin had the Atomic Fox on the trailer, and we set off. And everything was going really well. We stopped at a quarterway point, I guess. And I hate to admit this, but I'm going to admit it. The yellow car started rubbing.
Oh, Tom's gonna love to hear that.
Yeah. So I think the Texas heat got to the point where it softened the bushings up just enough for like a millimeter of travel. So like I'm not cutting into the tire, but it's enough where you can see where there's slight contact in the raised lettering of the Falcon Azenas shit at this point, right? So
Well, I guess we should maybe explain too. Like I've seen this with my own two eyes. Like War Admiral and I were on a knee with both our cell phone flashlights looking up towards the top of that wheel well going like you at our age, you got to squint to try to see if there's any clearance between that tire and that wheel well lip. And it's
yeah,
that tight, folks.
yeah.
So you'll have to take our word for it. So the fact that Chris is guessing that his bushings might have just warmed up enough to make this a reality is fucking true.
Yeah. So it was, I mean, like it was just kind of like over the larger humps. And what makes me think the bushings is like the faster you went, the less it did it. So obviously the more velocity you have, the more it's keeping the diff centered. So
Yeah.
I think it was like as you'd slow down and you'd hit and you kind of go over this stuff, that's where it started coming into play. So we pull over at a gas station and we're like, well, whatever, me, Britt, and all the luggage, fuck it. John, you drive the yellow car. You're a small guy. Me and Britt will
Yeah.
hop in the strawberry car and we'll just lighten the load up a bit. Like it wasn't doing damage. Like, yeah, it's taking a little bit of shit off, but it's not like it's going to cut into the tire and cause a blowout. But we go to leave the gas station and like it was freshly poured concrete for like the entrance onto the road, and it was like a massive drop off. Well, Justin cuts too hard with the trailer, and the trailer tire, the first one, just bang straight down. And Brittany's like, I think he popped that tire. I'm like, no, it's fine, it's fine. And then like I'm looking at the shadow underneath the trailer, following him, and you could just see the bulge. So,
Oh,
um, thankfully, again, right, like not in a bad place. It was like it's a double axle trailer, right? So pull over to a safe area, swap the tire over, and we're on our way. So think everything is good, and get to the Airbnb, and John gets out of the yellow car. He's like, "Dude, your car just started running hot." And I'm like, how hot? He's like just underneath, like up near like the O, underneath the N
ooh,
and the normal. And I'm like, well, what did the mechanical gauge say in the pillar? He's like, oh, I didn't even realize you had one up there. So I go over, turn the ignition forward, and sure enough, it's at 210.
ooh.
And I'm like, when did it start? He's like, literally like 2 miles down the road. He's like, I turned the AC off, turned the heat on, and he's like, it kind of balanced out a little bit. So pop the hood. First things first, there's no coolant in the killer glass tube. So coolant has gone somewhere. And like I'm
Yeah.
looking around, and normally, like you'd think if there's a blowout, like there'd be shit everywhere, but there really wasn't. There was like a droplet in the clutch for the AC compressor. And I'm
Hmm.
like, okay, maybe it just sort of burped out of the overflow because of the steam or God knows whatever was going on. And I'm like, okay, car's got the factory heater core in it. What are the chances the heater core blew and it was leaking, burning off the exhaust out of the drip line?
Yep.
And that's why we can't see anything. So I'm like, no big deal. Heater core bypass the thing and we'll be good. And we were just trying to get sorted for dinner. And I'm like, let me take a closer look. And I kind of got my head in a flashlight, and it was kind of the inlet of the radiator that let loose, like, so right at the top. So it must have been just like a gradual losing coolant off the top of the radiator and probably spinning the clutch fan, pretty much spinning it out of the way. So here I am. Yeah. At least we made it to the Airbnb this time, right? Not like on O'Reilly's trying to do it on roadside. But
Yeah.
the problem is O'Reilly's doesn't have a radiator till 9 a.m. the next morning. AutoZone does, like, nobody. I tried calling everybody. Nobody had one. And I'm like, shit, this is a problem. Like 9 a.m., like we're supposed to meet everyone at 8 for the group of 20 that Lance managed to organize to park together. So we're out to dinner and I'm trying to think. I'm like, okay, the leak's at the top. I could probably top it off and like limp it there and then change the radiator at the show or some bullshit, create some drama.
Yeah.
And well, I think you met Sean. We went tubing with him.
Yeah.
Right? Shannon's brother. So he messages me randomly. So this guy's got like 4 kids, 2 jobs, like always busy. And we hadn't caught up in the longest time. And like he sends me a message like, hey, what are you up to? I'm like, well, I'm actually in Galveston. Like, what are you saying? He's like, no, I'm just chilling. I'm like, you don't have the kids or anything? He's like, no, man, I'm a free agent this weekend. I'm like, dude, $400. Go to my house and grab the brand new radiator in the box by the garage door. Drive it to Galveston and you're getting to bed. And you can enjoy the show for the weekend. So this lunatic leaves literally at 10 p.m. on the Friday night, gets there at like 12:45. We stopped at Walmart, got like a little toolkit. So we already had the radiator out, slapped the new radiator in, and don't get all the hours of sleep, of course, but top it off in the morning, burp it out, and made it to the show.
No kidding. Was
and
that
dude,
that thing
like,
couldn't have had the original rad in it?
it is, or was. Original.
Really?
Yeah, original radiators in it. Original heater cores still in it. And like that radiator that I had by the door at the shop, I bought for this car. I'm like, it needs to be done, but I was like, okay, well, it's silver. I need to paint the top. Am I going to go to electric fans if I install this thing? Like, there just wasn't enough room before the show for me to care that much. And I'm like, it's not broken, it's original, so don't fix it, right? And that car runs ice cold, runs 150, 160 all day long. So so I didn't do it, and it came back and it bit me in the ass, but whatever. It's got a brand new Amazon 3 core in it now, and ran ice cold all the way home, so that's good. And
I don't know if I knew you got the AC charged in it.
So Dale put in something that apparently mixed with our 12. So remember, it has like, it's not ice cold, but it's enough to like get you by.
Okay.
It's because it was like I think the compressor was still turning on, or maybe it was turning on and kicking off when we first got the car. And then Dale like up a little bit, and there was just enough in there. Like I said, like borderline keep you cool depending how hot it is.
So it was still operating off of that recharge.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I see. For some reason, I thought that when we were in pits, you didn't have AC.
No, it was there. It was working.
Okay. Huh.
Yeah, pits just wasn't hot enough to care.
Well, yeah, I guess there was that one day, whatever that was, Friday.
Right.
But you could get by with Windows for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So, the little bit more drama with the yellow car, but more shit changed. And like, granted, car sat for what, 20 years? Like, those are the types of things that are going to let loose on you, right? So, got it done. No one was stranded.
Had you flipped the coolant out of it or anything?
Yeah, I did that because I did all the fluids except for the brakes. So that's sort of like the next one on my list because I want to go to braided lines, and then I'll bleed everything out and I'll probably throw .4 in it and just make sure, because it's probably half water at this point.
Yeah. Usually when you've you try to do something to like better your situation, i.e. change the coolant on a stock rad and you pull that petcock out and the fucking whole thing comes out of the rad, you're like, well, fuck. Right?
Yeah.
Here we go.
I
So
wish it
yeah,
were that
petcock
easy.
still work, but the inlet let go on you.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So, but hey, man, at least, I touched a lot of shit. I really did, right? Fuel pump, sending unit, injectors, intake, rockers, valve
Yeah.
covers. That was all last minute stuff where it was just like, yeah, there's no time for ass testing. Just fire it up and go. And car ran beautifully, but honestly, it
Nice.
did. So, got home and I rolled the fenders a bit or the quarters a bit. So,
Tires ain't cheap these days, buddy.
yeah, no, it's true. So, War Admiral, laugh all you want. I know he will. But
Yeah, he got you on the wipers and now he got you on the fender rolling.
oh, I know. Granted, I never used the wipers. That was more to appease the wife because she was like all nervous and shit, right? As they like to do. But
Yeah.
it's all good.
So, but fill in the gap here. Like, how was the show?
Yeah. So, my understanding, they had like a pre-meet, which would have been like the equivalent of a brewery night on the Thursday night. There were some complaints about that, I guess, shortage of parking, and it's kind of like right in the main like strip of Galveston, if you will. So I don't know how that went down, other than some of the complaints that I heard. The actual show day, I got to say, the show was great. Entry wasn't that hard to get in. I think on the Friday night there was something going on as well because they had like drag strip shit or some drifting and stuff, and some people said it took a while to get in as well. But I have to say, for a first time event, man, like really well done. Tons of cars, good displays. Just it was hot and there wasn't very much shade, but um, we quickly found the one restaurant in the, I guess, conference center hotel. They had a breakfast buffet going on that was like the equivalent of buying a burger from the food truck. And
Oh,
dude, phenomenal. Like we probably spent 2-3 hours in there staying cool, waiting for the missuses to show up
okay.
and do the thing. But yeah, no, phenomenal breakfast. Like I said, venue was good. Ran into Bill Butler.
Yeah,
He was there
I
working
spoke
the
with him this week. You mentioned
performance
that. Yeah.
booth. Yeah. And yeah, no, it was a good time, man. Like tons of S550s and that whole thing. And that'd be the only thing. A lot of people, their recommendation, right, is group cars together. But like there was a whole area of Termies all grouped in one spot. And then, Lance managed to get these 20 Foxes together. And, good on him for doing that because like there is that many newer ones that you would get kind of lost in the mix, if you will.
Yeah.
So, I thought it was a really, really good event. And like I know it went on Sunday as well. And I think awards weren't until like 6 p.m. or something super late. We were already back, home at that point. Like we were really just there for the show day, despite
Yeah.
all these other activities and stuff that they had going on.
I think there's something to be said about having the various generations, at least as much as you can, like have them organized in their sort of segregated areas. Because if not, I mean, it's kind of like just going to a regular car show in that, you're wearing all these hats going like, holy shit, we got a Chevy, we got a Pontiac, we got a Ford, we got a, like, it's just overload. And I don't think that it does the cars that everybody pours their heart and soul into any justice because your mind is just too busy. It's overload. The shows are overload already, right? Because it's almost as if you're like your bar changes of like what used to be good and now like what's good is great because you've got like multi-million-dollar car here and then you've got Joe Blow's do-it-yourself project there and whatever, right? So anyway, long-winded way of saying, yeah, I think having some segregation is not a terrible thing, especially
Yeah.
in these all Mustang shows.
And one thing that actually kind of blew me away some. So RTR had a booth there, which I'd sort of seen the logo around, but never really thought much of it. I don't even know what RTR stands for. Probably something racing in there.
Ready to race.
Yeah. So
I truly think it is. Like I just
okay.
learned this the other day.
All right.
Yeah.
So when we went to go get the toolkit the Friday night, we went to Walmart and there was this S550, or I guess it'd be S650 now. I think the thing's brand new, pretty damn near new. Anyways, so newer Mustang underneath one of the lampposts, parked the fuck away from everybody else. And I'm looking at the paint and I'm like, shit, is that mischievous purple, like resonating underneath the fluorescent light? And Justin's like, oh man, like it's sort of looking like a mystic color. So we get closer and closer and closer, and sure enough, it looks like a mystic Termy would,
Color.
but
Yeah.
on a brand new Mustang. So we're like, is this thing a wrap? And like, and then we see the RTR logo and stuff like that. And we're trying to figure it out. And sure enough, the owner comes out and he was kind of, who are these people like lingering around my car type deal, right? And he's like, no, it's Mystic Chrome, like same as a like Terminator. It's an option that they have with their build. So he tells us a little bit
Oh.
about it and kind of fucks off on his way. And then the next day, we see the RTR booth, and there's one dude. It was so Mystic Chrome is kind of like your forest green, dark purple, like with some gold and like those hues. This
Yeah.
other one was like bright gold to like bimini blue,
Oh.
super light, like a mint green, like just like other side of the brighter spectrum of the Mystachrome. Like like I'm not a huge color change paint guy, but I was like, holy fuck. I'm like, these paint jobs are phenomenal that they're pumping out of this joint.
Hmm.
And you can get these cars like factory warranty with a Whipple, um, or like non-supercharged version or whatever else. So this one literally brand new with the Whipple, this crazy fucking paint. And the guy comes out and starts telling us about it and everything else. And it's like, man, it's awesome. You know, you get a full warranty. So it's like whatever, new age, new version of Celine, if you will, I guess, right?
Yeah.
How much do you think? So keep this in mind. If you buy one of those cars, you get into an accident, they need to fly their painter to your location with the paint to perform the work that needs to be done, and they take the paint, like any leftover paint comes back with them because they've bought the rights and own the rights to these colors. So you can't go to a paint shop and get them mixed, right?
Yeah.
Knowing that that's the criteria, how much do you think the paint option is for one of those colors on one of these cars? So these are brand new. They all come black, right? And then it's like you get black or you get one of these custom colors or whatever. But how much do you think the option is for one of these paint jobs?
I got 20K in my head.
15.
15 grand.
1
So
5.
what is okay, like back her up maybe, like what does one of these cars run you in like just tuned up format?
So this one that with the Whipple and everything on it was like, it was either 101 or 110, which in my
Okay.
mind was extreme value. Like if you look at the build sheet, it's like you couldn't, as an individual, buy a brand new Mustang, buy all those parts, and build it for that money with the warranty. I don't
Yeah,
think you
because
could.
what's a optioned out GT run you now? 60 grand?
I'm assuming it's got to be around there. Like
Yeah.
just knowing where the price of everything else is, it's got to be around 60. So like if there's 40 at this and like that paint job, there's no way you could walk in every fucking paint. And like when I tell you this is factory quality paint, like it's almost better than some factory paint jobs that I've seen. Cause like there's no
Wow.
peel. It is like, and don't get me wrong, you have a brand new car, so you really just got to scuff it down and do whatever, but you got to pull all the panels, right? You got
Yeah.
to do everything to get the color everywhere that it needs to be. And like that paint's got to be worth God knows what. Um, I just thought it was ridiculous. Like to me, fuck your dark horse. Like I'd
Yeah.
go buy one of these RTRs, like no problem. Like if that was my thing, it's not my thing. I'm just saying, like if you're looking at a new Mustang and you want a bunch of mods and you want a warranty or something, you'd almost be foolish not to take advantage of that because you can't paint that color for 15 grand.
Do they paint the bay and everything?
So they do right to the like the fenders are off, so the bays and everything stay black.
Oh, okay. Firewall's black.
Yeah,
Rad
but like
sports
honestly,
black.
there's so much plastic in there, you don't see any of that shit. Like it does not look
Right.
off, I guess is the best way to put it.
But jams, like everything's painted.
Yep.
Wow. Yeah, that's a major overhaul on a
Yeah.
brand new car.
Right. And I think they're pumping out like I think they said like 100 units a year or something like that. It's like pretty good volume.
Well, okay, and maybe if you're just stumbling into these guys now, you might not know the answers to this, but I was of the impression that Von Gittin was somehow involved in the RTR thing.
He is because he was rolling around on his like single wheel skateboard thing.
Okay, so
Yeah.
maybe it's like whatever, it's his deal, and with him being affiliated with Ford and their drift team and whatever else, he.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
he
always
came
wondered
over.
about that.
He was chatting with me about the yellow Dutch for a minute on
Oh,
his
nice.
single wheel thing. Yeah, he was a cool guy.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, because I mean, if you just do the backwards math on that, like, so say we're right on the money there at 60K, what's a Whipple? 12?
Yeah, if you're paying a shop to install that thing, you're going to be, I bet you that and supporting mods for a reputable shop's got to be 12 to 15.
Yeah. And then you got a 15K paint job. And from what I understand, like those RTRs, like it's not, well, whatever. We kind of just said all this, but it's definitely not just badging, right? Like they do throw a lot of parts at those cars to make them whatever the hell they are. So what? You got another probably like 15K in suspension mods and
Then you got
right
wheels and
wheels,
tires.
tires,
Yeah.
exhaust,
Yeah.
probably some interior shit, right? Maybe seats.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, man. I thought it was extremely good value for what you were getting. Like, not that
Yeah.
like $100,000 sounds like you're getting a lot of value, but you are. Like, it's
Yeah, you can drive that car to work every fucking day.
yeah,
And if it breaks, here you go.
yeah.
Wild.
So yeah, no, that was pretty cool, man, to see that. And there was some other pretty cool Foxes. There was another yellow notch T top. It was an 84. I think it won in the 4i class.
Nice.
But the one that's on my thumbnail, that red notch, dude, he might have me fucking beat on or very damn close on static drop.
Really?
Yeah. I just assumed the car was on air. It was mini tubbed actually, so he was running like a 345 or some shit in the rear. Which that's a little bit different, right? Like you get into mini tub and like you can make clearance for anything. That solves your problems of going low in the rear. But yeah, the only downfall, and he was good about it. So it's got an LS motor in it, but it was carbureted. So unless you like really knew what you were looking for, you just assume it's just a small block in there that's carbureted.
Right.
Yeah.
Huh. Still coil on plug and everything like LS related?
I'd have to check the footage again. To be honest, I was like I was trying to like look up in the wheel wells, and he was on like it looked like it was QA1 on everything. So yeah, I didn't look as soon as someone's like, "Oh, that's an LS1 in there, LS whatever." I was like, "Oh yeah, no, I'm not even looking in there."
Now that I say that, I should probably eat my words. Like, I don't think there is a way that you can drop a distributor into an LS. So it would have to be.
Yeah.
Just the coils would be hidden.
Yeah. So
I've often thought like that would be, there was a guy that wanted to build a Jeep around me here and he was actually talking about like getting a 6 liter. And I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, this is just a tiny little Jeep. Like the 4.8 LS is more than capable for what you're trying to do. And they're everywhere and they're cheap and whatever. And he goes, yeah, but like, what's it going to be like with the fuel injection stuff? I'm like, to be honest with you, I think you carb it.
yeah.
Or you get like a Holly Sniper or something along those lines, because then and this was one of the, I don't know, I guess maybe there's some Jeep lovers out there that might hate me for saying this, but this is kind of that, was it the YJ, like with the square headlight?
Yeah.
Like kind of the
The
one that,
MacGyver style.
yeah, right. So like it was of that vintage of whatever the hell that is, probably like mid 80s, early to mid 80s, and maybe even into the late 80s. Anyway, I'm like, yeah, man, like this, like you're in carbureted territory. Like you don't want to pop the hood and see a bunch of like LS plastic shit, right? Like let's make it look the part.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, carbureted and whatever. And anyway, I think that's pretty cool that he did it that route.
Yeah, no, it was super clean car, man. And for whatever reason, there was a lot of clean red cars because so that guy's from Texas. Then there was VLZ Stallion. I don't know if you've
Mm,
seen. He's got that Celine kitted with the yellow, red and yellow theme, yellow roll bar
yeah,
and
it's
everything.
a cool car.
Yeah, so I've seen him at Radwood before. Super cool dude. He actually had it out on the track day, like ripping it around, using it
He's
for
got all the fancy lights and shit in it too, right? And they
yeah,
flash and yeah.
like
That's awesome.
lots of cool attention to detail stuff on that. And then Need for Speed, the red vert with the SVO side skirts was there.
Really? Fuck,
Yeah.
man. I want to see that car so bad. I just got shivers again. Like, that is a beautiful car.
Yeah, it is. I think he won in some class as well. Yeah, awesome car. Like, honestly, like it looks so good in the pictures. And I was always curious, like, will it present like this in person?
Yeah.
And it does, man. Like, and just so much pride in that car. Like him and his wife, great people. Um,
Oh, that does my heart good to hear that. I love it when it's as good, if not better, than
yeah,
what we've seen in photos.
yeah.
Because that's a car, same as me, dude. Every time I see it, I'm like, fuck, that thing's gorgeous.
Yeah, and just like I wanted to know if it like pulled off the lines and everything as well in person. Cause like,
Yeah, with the side exhaust and everything. Yeah.
yeah, and it really does. Like the mix of that and like his Carter's custom stuff that he's got on, like it really just it ties everything together. And it's not very often you can pull off like a mix match of body kit components from this and from that. But yeah, man, I gotta say that's it's a really, really nice vert. And of course he's got the canvas top and all that shit on it too, right? So it's like
Right.
the elegance is there and yeah, it looks really, really good.
Oh, that thing's clean. Yeah, because I think we kicked this around like, I mean, eons ago now, but like we talked about that side exit exhaust. Maybe was it with Bill at one point? And
Maybe.
yeah, and he might have said that like there was just a handful of like Fox specific kits that were done, and everyone else is amalgamated at SN95 side skirts to make that a reality.
Right. Yeah, no, it's a pretty cool reality. And I asked him, I'm like, is it smelly at the stoplights? He's like, yeah, it gets a little
Yeah.
little fumey.
but it's
There's no cats on it. So yeah.
but it's fucking awesome when you're driving it, I bet.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
So who else was there? I saw Mike Murillo. He was there in the corner and they were like trying to convince him to do a burnout for the later fucking drift event or something. So of course he was like,
How is his
no.
health doing?
He's doing all right, man. He had a bunch of knee surgeries recently. So yeah, we were getting because I'm still kind of hobbling around a little bit too. And so we were kind
Right.
of making the joke of, we're going down sharing each other's path of fucking health issues. But yeah, no, man, he's just one of those personalities. You know what I mean? Like it'd be odd to see him down. You know what I mean? Because
Right.
he's just like a goofy, funny, go lucky guy. So
Right.
um, yeah, he's funny. He's like, man, did you grow? He's like, you look like taller. I don't remember you being this tall. And I'm like, well, I was with my buddy Charles, who's fucking like 6'5", so I probably looked short next to him when last time I was there. So
Well, you got to tell him you're on the radiation too, so maybe it's making you grow into a fucking mutant.
yeah. So yeah, there was a bunch of like North Texas foxbody club cars there. And shit, I want to say yeah, like that super crazy purple, like House of Colors purple drag car. You probably,
Oh yeah,
if you didn't have heat stroke, you'd remember one of the Calypso notches was
it was
there.
in Dallas. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
It's
Um,
got. Remember, we were looking at, or shit, maybe it was me and Charles. It's got this like, is it a like an S550 console system through it or something?
yeah, yeah, that's the one.
Yeah,
Yeah. So,
and
yeah,
it
man.
looks the part. Like it pulls it
Yeah.
off. You like it does not look like it's just glued and screwed.
No, no, no. That's a beautifully built car. Um,
Yeah,
Another one too is, remember I gave the award to that like
yeah.
dark blue notch. So he was there. Like, it was his brother that brought the car. So he's since now removed his rear seat and has like this crazy stereo enclosure going in.
In
Um,
that coupe.
in that coupe. So yeah, he's kind of going next level with that. And um, the one of the moderators from North Texas just got his hatch outfitted by Keith with a big stereo in the back. So I made the joke the other day on my story, right? Like, it's nice seeing all these guys get back into the car audio stuff. Like, when are we going to stop putting SVE wheels on our cars? So, um, yeah, no, man, good event. Beautiful cars. Justin's car obviously turned a lot of heads. He was really happy because he got to put miles on, and other than like his battery just wasn't holding up to it just had too many discharges and charges, and it was one of those like mini AGM ordeals.
Yeah,
So yeah, we had to get a little friendly with the booster pack here and there, but otherwise, man, that car drove great. So
nice.
he was really happy with that, and of course, everybody's
Well,
like,
that's
"Oh, look at that engine bay."
right. Well, that's good to hear because I mean, yeah, that was kind of another one where, like, I know you said that you had kind of gone through it and you were getting to the end of the list and whatever, but like, let's be honest, we know that when you get to the end of the list on these fucking things, you're still about 3/4 of a mile away from the finish line.
Yeah.
There's always shakedown, stupid shit that pops up, right? So that's awesome to hear, man. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, no, man, stayed like dead cool in the heat and did all the things. Of course, the Holly's like learning a little bit because it just has the tune from getting broken on the dyno. So it does really good at idle, and it does really good anything past 2000 RPM. If you're kind of
Right.
putting along in that 1500, it's doing a couple little foxbody isms that you would expect. But I got to say, like, even just for that, from a drivability point of view, the car didn't stall once. Like
Hmm.
it would always like idle. So it's just like part throttle and your drivability shit around town. But he was like, man, the more I'm driving it, the better it's getting. But we'll do some data logging over the next couple of weeks and send the logs in and get it dialed in. But it should be good. But yeah, stupid shit, man. Like, well, he needs a final alignment on it. It drives straight, but it's the steering wheel off fucking
Yeah.
thing that we're always complaining about fighting. Probably rebleed the brakes out again, but at the same time, it's sort of like they need to be worked in because everything's brand new, right?
Yeah.
Um, what else? Just stupid shit. You know what I mean? That
Yeah.
just, going over, like you said. He had the whole car PPF'd right before. His guy actually pulled. So we found out the front bumper cover had been repainted at some
Hmm.
point. The rest is original paint. So I guess when he was trying to put the PPF on the top part of the bumper cover, and sometimes you gotta like pull it back up, well, it ripped a bunch of fucking paint up.
Ah.
So he had to get black PPF at this point and put black PPF across, but you could see like the line of where the paint was ripped. So he's got to pull that off and clean up that
Great.
area and then redo it. But yeah, just dumb shit. But yeah,
Yeah,
otherwise,
because
man, it's
that was a what was the story? There was a low mile notch, right? Original paint, low mile notch.
yeah, it's like 28,000 miles on it, I think.
Holy shit. Wow.
Yeah. So, and
Texas
man,
car too?
no, it ended up in Texas. And funny enough, I want to say it might have been like more north, like Montana-ish or some shit, like
Oh.
originally. Um, and the guy who had it, well, obviously was involved with that very early day Kenny Bell intercooling shit. So he ended up
Oh.
moving to Texas. I think this is how the story goes. Ended up moving to Texas, got all the intercooler stuff, got it tuned according to the Texas heat, and then he sold it to, I guess, the outfit where Justin bought the car, but he's emailed me, I think when I was doing Chuck's car, because he's like, man, that's my old car. He's like, I can't believe all the changes that are happening to it. Next time I'm in, the area, I'd love to see it. So, yeah, I'll probably try and reach out to him via email and be like, dude, the car's together now, so you can not only see it, but you might get a ride in it. So
There you go.
yeah, but yeah, super, man, like the clear PPF, I gotta say, like, it adds like a whole new element of depth. Like, don't get me wrong, it's single stage black paint shines when you buff it and do all the things, but like that layer of PPF on top, like, almost looks like you're looking in like in an aquarium.
Wow.
Like, just like this whole new layer of depth, which is super cool. It's the self-healing shit too, right? So if you scratch it, it like fixes itself. So that's pretty neat
Nice.
to see how that all came together. And
Yeah.
he's going to switch up the wheels, so the CCWs aren't going to stay on there. I think he's going to go up to 19s and some custom outfit of some sort. So
Huh.
yeah.
Tweak it a bit. So, if you were to, I mean, I guess unless you've got an actual number in your head as to how many cars showed up, but I was going to say, if you had to compare it to pit size wise, how would you gauge it?
Oh, I'd say it's not as big as Pitts, because Pitts has that whole indoor component. So this was just
Yep.
strictly outdoor, and there was like two different areas. Shit, that's a good question, man. I feel like having to walk it felt larger just because the areas were kind of separated. 3/4 of Pitts, maybe, like with no inside.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, they must have been happy with the first crack at Galveston.
Yeah, because like
And
Lance had 20 odd some in that group, and then I guarantee you there was at least 20 to 30 foxes out in the wild, right? Which would put it kind of close to what the asylum had together, and like really nice cars from all different styles. Which actually, even the guy from Houston, it was the same J7 paint coat as War Admiral. I redid his car. Well, Red Dog painted it a couple years
yep.
ago, and they put it together. So he actually showed up there, and that car still looks great. So it was cool to see him.
Yep.
But yeah, like kind of people from all over. I think there was someone who drove from like Minnesota or something crazy, and like it was a pretty serious event.
No doubt. So, and was this just a tester, or are they planning on doing like dual shows every year?
I don't know. Maybe it probably is a tester, to be honest with you, because like, and I don't know all the drama, so I don't want to go down like the road of assumptions, but like I know there was some drama with like the original organizers or past organizers at Myrtle Beach, right? Like there was something like the people didn't want all the cars and the noise and the racket, and then
Yeah,
somebody
I
like,
understand that too. Like
and then they
the
sold it.
neighborhoods. And,
Yeah. Then they
yeah.
sold it, and then I think whoever they sold it to must have had more clout or maybe ends with people so that they could bring it back. I don't know. Somebody can maybe fill in the gaps here, but either maybe it's like, let's shop an alternative in case we can't keep going down this path. That could be one assumption. The second one could be the people who bought it are truly business people as well as enthusiasts, and say, okay, well, if we run 2 shows a year, twice as many cars, twice as many opportunities, so on and so forth. So that could be the second component to it. And like you think
Yeah.
about it, like, yeah, there's a lot of stuff in Texas, but I'm kind of surprised because like Austin, if anything, it'd be like the most central spot to like grab from all areas. And like Dallas is a real, and San Antonio, I feel like, are heavy Fox communities. Like I know there's some in Houston, but I don't hear of Houston having as much. And they're the ones closest to Galveston. So
But you got to think too, though, like if you're just looking at this geographically, like Galveston resembles Myrtle Beach damn near to a T,
well, there is
right?
that. Yeah, that's true. So you get that
I
whole
know,
beach
like,
vibe and everything else going on.
yeah, seeing some of the guys' videos and stuff, I was like, holy shit, like you could totally lie to your wife and tell her you were in Myrtle Beach. Like, You know,
Yeah.
it,
No, for
it
sure.
damn near looks the same.
Yeah. No, it's a pretty cool spot, man. Like I went for the first time last summer, and it's hard to compare to other coastal places just because the Gulf is pretty. It's constantly got turnover, right? So the water's typically brown.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like the only, I guess, turn off to a certain extent, but like you still get the beachy vibes and like the whatever would be the freshwater side, you know what I mean, or whatever that
Right.
leaches in for the other stuff.
Yeah.
And
Gulf of America.
yeah, Gulf of America. Yeah.
All right.
Um,
Oh, that's cool, man. Well, I'm happy for them for sure. I know we talked tough, or I guess I talked tough, right? Back in the winter months, like, fuck yeah, let's do this drive. I'll kick my car out at your house and I'll come back. And oh my God, what a fucking idiot I was thinking that was or could be a reality.
Man, and I gotta say, so the way we went down was like the back road way. And there was a little bit of construction, like nothing crazy that really slowed you down. Um, on the way back, it was sort of like, oh, okay, well, let's stop and grab brunch somewhere. And while the back way doesn't really facilitate, you're going through tiny Texas towns. And tiny Texas towns are all the same: Dollar General, Dairy Queen, gas station. You might even see a first generation Bucky's that only has 4 pumps.
Right.
Um,
Right.
so that's kind of the extent of it. So it's like, okay, well, we'll go the Houston way. It's a Sunday. And in my head, I'm like, this isn't a good idea. And dude, it was one of those drives where it was like accidents, slowdowns. You're trying to
Oh,
drive three people together, and one guy's with a truck and a trailer. So it's like no one left behind. And then like roads, like Houston is just like this mega concrete jungle of a city that just it's you know what I mean? Anything takes you 45 minutes from going to Houston. Doesn't
well,
matter.
and
That's
it's
how spread
cities
it is.
inside of cities.
Yeah,
I
like it's
remember,
just nuts.
yeah, when I was
So
in the oil field, we would like there was like different downtowns.
yeah,
You'd go from what the hell is it called now? Wood something. Wood fuck. Anyway, like we'd always stay there. That's where conventions and shit were. And then
yeah,
if you wanted to go like to one downtown, it was over here. You wanted to go another oil company, they were in the other fucking downtown. It it's a big bitch.
yeah. And so like, we're doing that, and then it's sort of like a state road. Like you can take I-10 towards San Antonio, but nobody wants to do that. So you usually want to do the state road. Well, the state road now is bled in or so far out between the outskirts of Houston and then where the outlet malls are and all of this fucking shit. It's like everyone's driving like they're on meth or like the amount of Ultimas. So I got Brittany on the whole Ultima thing. I'm like, you see an Ultima, guaranteed a bumper's fucking flapping in the wind, something's dragging on the ground, they're a menace to the fucking road. And so we saw like 20 of them. And like just you're kind of like white knuckled the whole time because you just don't know what's going to happen. And it was like not until like the last 45 minutes of the drive where we got like normal again. Now I said to Brittany at the one rest stop, I'm like, we're never going this way again. Like I do
Yeah.
not care. I'm like, I will drive 2 hours longer, just not in this shit. So
That's not good.
and it sucks. So, on your way home and it's a Sunday, you just want to get there and relax. And it was literally like a 4 hour drive that felt like 10, like
Yeah.
just completely. And it should have been enjoyable. You're out in the cars, you're cruising, wanting to have, you know what I mean? But yeah.
Oh, that's brutal, dude. Hey, listen, before we shift gears or whatever we're gonna do, let's just pause for a sec here. I gotta pee real bad.
Okay, good. So do I. Oh, I thought you hit the pause button.
Can you do that?
Yeah,
Oh,
pause. Yeah, you said pause. I thought you hit the button.
no, I didn't even know you could do that. Here, let's just have you tried it before?
No, but I
Okay,
saw
I don't
it.
want to mess this up, but okay, pause.
There we go.
Look at that.
That
Okay.
is the
Apparently there's a pause button, huh?
thing.
Okay. Well, I don't know. You want to move into built versus bought? We sound like so official tonight. What the fuck's wrong with us?
I know. It's like that extra evening to make us think.
Yeah, I guess, eh?
Be a little bit more.
Okay. Well,
Who
move
are we
my
going to
keys
use?
real
The
quick.
War Admiral as an example without him here?
We could. Maybe he'll even, well, if we're going to go live,
Yeah.
he'll jump in on our live probably. Okay. How
So,
long's it been since you've done one of these? Fuck, probably since we went on a road trip. Eh? I don't even remember how to do it.
all right. So we're trying to do something here. Well, Gary's trying to get his technical stuff sorted out. We actually wanted to talk about a controversial topic of what would be called built versus bought. And before you guys jump in to, I guess, your assumptions or anything else, we're going to throw out, say, a car like the War Admiral, say, a car like the Black Notch that I just finished, the Atomic Fox, right, that I personally put together. A lot of people throw the term around and would just assume, okay, those are bought cars, right? Because, Tom didn't necessarily turn all the wrenches or Justin didn't turn all the wrenches on his car. However, I came across a definition the other week that kind of changed my way of thinking. And I wanted to pull it up. And now that we're on the live, I can't have it up. So I'm going to try and remember this definition as best as I can. It was along the lines of built versus bought can mean that you as an individual have your style, your characteristics, your passion, and everything else translated, and you built the car the way that you wanted it built as a reflection of all of those things, would therefore define that vehicle as being built and not bought. Where you would say, if I went out and bought the War Admiral tomorrow, that would be bought because that is the War Admiral, that is Tom's characteristics, that's the way Tom wanted the car, and a reflection of his personality, his ideas, and everything else. Which me and Gary brought this up and we were like, oh, it's, this was after the pod last week, and we're like, oh, okay, yeah, that's a really interesting way of thinking about it. Let's save it for next week. So here we are live while we're recording the pod, wanting to bring that to your attention and wanted to get your guys' feedback on, is that a built versus bought situation? Did I cover that good, Gary?
Yeah. No, you did, bud. I think that this is a whole new way of looking at this from, it's like I don't know, just a little bit of a different angle, I guess, different approach. And, like I do, we all know, or most should anyway, like the story of Tom's car. I mean, he just, he's built cars in the past and just values his time and works like a dog. And therefore his vision was built through someone else's time and hands and whatever. So I think it's brilliant, that it's a brilliant way of looking at it differently, right? Whereas I think everyone just gets caught up in the fact that, like, well, if you didn't build it yourself, then it's bought.
Yeah. No, I agree to
So
that. Well, what do we got here? It's built, but bought it to be built. Bought it to be built. There we go. So that's from Spano.
there's some people saying that they can't. I think they're saying they can't hear you, buddy.
Oh, they can hear me. They can't hear you.
Is that what it is? Well, shit. You can hear me on both devices, all right?
Yeah, I can.
Well, what the hell? Even through your phone.
Well, my phone's cranked down. I can't hear you. I'm only hearing you through my computer speakers.
I'm
Somebody's got to
definitely
give
not
us
muted.
some tech validation here that they can hear. I can hear both, says think in
Okay.
reverse. All
Maybe
right.
whoever's I think Parm, I think I seen you in here. You said you couldn't hear me, buddy, but yeah, I don't know. I think it's a brilliant way of looking at this from a different perspective, especially for people that are living crazy busy lives. And well, and let's be honest, like Tom's the first one to admit that he couldn't have built that car to the levels and lengths that it's been built to either. You know, when it comes to metal work and everything else, I mean, I'd be throwing my hands in the air too. Like, you know, that's a very specific skill set.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think you know, it's like obviously I've got the t-shirt, right, that goes around the whole built not bought
Yep.
thing, and then oh, sorry, I had myself muted there. That's something. So yes, of course I've got the t-shirt, the built not bought t-shirt. Um but you know, some people are, I don't know, they question that. And I think they question their abilities and stuff like that, and they get caught up in the whole mix. And they shouldn't let that, you know, beat them down, that they feel like they're inferior, that they didn't build the car. They got to, you know, maybe they only do little things. Like maybe they did the wheels and the tires and suspension, but they don't have it in them to swap the motor out or put the power adder on or do the valve lash or whatever that we've been talking about. And you know, you pay a shop to do it. But at the end of the day, if that's what you wanted done, you are, you know, building the car that you want. So yeah, man, it was just one of those statements. Like I read that definition, just completely changed my mind.
Yeah, agreed. I I caught a comment from Adam here. Hey, you know what, Chris? I think it is echoing through your end, buddy. Turn your laptop right down. That's what I did on my end, and I'm just using the phone or whatever. Maybe that'll get us oh, there we go. Echo's gone. Okay. Where did Adam's comment go?
Let's try this.
Oh shit, I lost it. I read the first sentence. It said, I build cars for people for a living. Oh, here we go. I build cars for others, but if I am building it to the customer's image, then it's a built car. Yeah, I may not put some of the input and style or some of my input and style into the build, but it's still built for that individual paying. Yeah, that's pretty much like to that fella's definition that you came across.
Yeah, no, it's true. Well, and like we got, you know, Ken's channel, right? The whole built versus bought thing, which I don't know if he's played off that
No.
totally, right? I think maybe he kind of started off, but I kind of want to throw that his way and be like, man, here's a new definition. You know what I mean? Because I feel like any of the cars that he's covering pretty much are built cars.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, true enough.
the RTRs we were just talking about earlier, that's technically, that's bought. Like it's pre-built, right? You're buying it, you're driving it.
Well, actually, that's probably a pretty good like black and white comparison, because in that case you can like walk into a showroom, someone else has already cooked this idea up on paper and went like, here's a perfect package that we can put up for sale, and off you go. Like that to me, I guess, would resemble the true definition of bought.
Yeah.
Right.
True.
There's really, well, actually, sorry folks, we're gonna like jump all over the place here. We talked about these paint jobs that you can apparently get on these RTR cars, which I guess if you're willing to pay, say both Chris and I were willing to pay, we could both get this like high-end paint code car. But that'd be about the only thing that would make one RTR of like top spec different from another.
Yeah. Well, actually, here's a really good one. The SA10s, right? Because they were all
Yeah.
one of one, like a run of 10, but technically each one is a one of one because it was all like whatever, customer built based off the sheet. Now the question is, are those options enough to really characterize or reflect an individual to say, yeah, okay, yeah, they built that car for me?
Yep. Yeah.
Or picking your options from the dealer now.
Well, that's the thing. I would almost say that like the SA10s is a perfect gray zone between built versus bought.
Yeah.
right? Sure, you're going to go through like their catalog and pick their options that you want on your car. But yeah, like, I don't know, maybe that's your three definitions, right? You've got full on built to your spec, whether it was by your hands or not. Then on the other end of it, you walk in and you buy that RTR car. And then somewhere in the middle, you've got this little pocket of SA10s.
Yeah.
That could go to either side, right? Actually,
Yeah.
and then you got Bob Goodson's car, truly built to his own SA10 specs by his own hands and his own hunting and his own everything, right?
Yeah. No, I think at the end of the day, there's multiple definitions depending on where, I guess, whatever area that you're in, right, and how you choose to classify it based on a reflection of what you've done, like whether it was a reflection of your blood, sweat, and tears, or was it a reflection of just your ideas and your characteristics, versus just a reflection of your wallet.
Yeah. War Admiral just stepped in. Buddy, you came in like 15 minutes too late.
Yeah,
Your
we
ears
already
must have been burning.
classified
That's
him.
probably why you jumped in.
Spano's like, they're talking shit about you. Get in here.
What else do we got here? Here was a good one. Muchzilla, right? One of the Cali Fox organizers. My build was inspired by Infamous Project, and I learned how to fix my car through KASL.
There we go. Yeah, Tom is late to the party. Oh, what do we got here? Think in Reverse, track sessions with Derek Hansen, loved modifying cars. There
It's
we
all
go.
about having the joy. Yeah. No, it's true. And I mean, I guess we should probably also say that, you know, Chris and I, none of us give a shit about any of this, right? But it's just one of these like constant topics. It's damn near like oil weight and oil filters. Like it's that hot of topic. And he told me this. Well, he realized it when we like hung up off the pod last week, and we got talking about. We're like, shit, like this would have been pretty cool to record. And anyway, we got the idea to like do half recorded pod, half live on Instagram, and kick this thing around. So I guess for War Admiral's sake, he's gonna have to go back and either watch the live Instagram or wait till Monday to see what was said about him.
Yeah. If he's lucky, I'll hook him up with a free t-shirt. He deserves it.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, folks, I don't know. I guess we don't want to cook up everybody's Friday night here on our silliness. We're just in the middle of the podcast and thought it'd be kind of fun to go live. So this will be on the pod on Monday too. So wherever you want to catch it.
There we go. Thanks, folks.
Yeah. Okay. Later, guys. Okay, buddy. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh, I guess now we can share it as a reel or something, right? Shit, we might have to come back to doing that after. Do you get the opportunity to, or do we gotta?
Oh, I just hit. It said you're live. I got that. Do you want to? Oh, now I'm echoing for you real bad. I think I just fucked it up. God damn it. We're like becoming the non-tech savvy people, like faster than the speed of light.
It's true. Getting old, bud. What did you screw up? The reel?
It didn't give me the option. It kind of went back to like you're live.
Here, I'll just tag you in it, or I'll collaborate with you.
Done. It actually says you're still alive.
Oh, maybe I am. Oh.
I can join. Nice. It says 0 people are watching, so it's probably a weird delay.
Well, that was kind of fun. Maybe we should have test drove that first, but whatever. I think people understand.
Oh.
Little Friday night fun.
Yeah. So,
okay.
How about that election?
Yeah, that's where we had to go. I was just going to ask you, where do we got to go from here? Oh man, where do we even start cutting this thing up, eh?
Well, I think we should probably give a little, I guess, Cliff's Notes context to anyone south of the border that might not be, I guess, familiar with the situation at a high level. You know, 10 years or 9 years, whatever, of extremely questionable leadership. You know, at the early days, everything thought, oh, young prime minister, it's going to be good. And the girls are, oh, he's cute and blah, blah, blah. And I'll be honest, I was hopeful. Like, I always like to root for the young guy. Politicians are usually old as fuck and don't, you know what I mean? No way of thinking of the future and everything else. But, yeah, years went by, inflation went sky high, well, still is. Inabilities to make decisions, like there's just so much stuff. Housing unrealistic, millions of immigrants coming into the country undocumented, or maybe documented but just allowed to roam. And a lot of that is like students, you know, they come in on student visas and just let them do whatever the hell they want. There's some ridiculous statistic of how many thousands didn't show up for their first day of school. I don't know. I'm sure you can touch in on some of these things, ultimately leading to a resignation.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. It will really pain me to say anything nice about the guy that is no longer in power, but I remember kind of thinking the same thing. I was probably, 9 years ago, the hell would I have been? Mid-30s, I guess we were, right?
Yeah.
I quite honestly don't even know that I did go in and vote. Like, I was that disconnected and that just whatever about kind of everything. Kind of wild to think that I'm like so up to date on everything now, but yeah, just 9 years ago,
the country wasn't, I guess, bleeding as bad as like now. And like, yeah, granted, we were in our 30s. I know me, I want to say with confidence that when he first got voted in, non-residents of Canada were not allowed to vote.
right.
So I was in Dubai, which meant I couldn't vote because I was spending the majority of my time outside of the country, which I believe in. I believe if you're not in the country, just think of all the passport holders that exist outside, as Canada being. Oh, can you hear my air compressor? It just kicked on.
It just heard
That's annoying.
It's kind of muted out now or whatever, but yeah, this is the thing, folks, and maybe we should have done a little better job like bringing this up, but we're referring to the Canadian federal election that just took place. And funny enough, I think Canada has probably hit more people's radars since JT took office 9 years ago, just because of all the craziness that he's created. And obviously the political chats, if we're going by what our parents taught us, which doesn't seem to be the case anymore these days, if I'm being honest, but at the dinner table, you don't talk politics, you don't talk money, you don't talk religion, right? But here we are. We thought, because Chris got some notes, I've definitely got a pile of them saying like, holy smokes, what just happened? I can't believe it. What's the next steps? Blah, blah, blah. And we thought, well, what the hell? We'll share our 2 cents, because it never hurts to understand what people are thinking or feeling about stuff. And just know, and I mean, this is one of the things that I admire about Chris, and I assume the same thing back at me. We're very open-minded people. You know what I mean? And we will listen to the other side. I mean, sometimes to my own fault. Like I find myself sometimes getting so set in my ways that I almost have to go like, okay, wait a minute. Like maybe I'm turning into one of these crazy people. You know what I mean? That like everyone else is wrong and I'm right. And I'll quite literally turn on the news channels that drive me nuts and listen to what they're saying with open-hearted intent. Like I literally want to know what you guys are thinking. And it never fails. Every single time my soul wants to crawl out of my body and go like running for the hills. Like, what are these people talking about? It's just mind-boggling stuff. So I guess treat that as a preface. We're just sharing our thoughts on this, and we're both open-minded people, and whatever. Try to
Yeah,
see
I
both
think,
sides.
yeah, and part of it too is there's only so much we can do. And I think I just want to address some of the key points that people that are really frustrated. Because the first thing that people want to do when they don't hear the news that they want to hear is, that's it, I'm leaving. And they want to know how to leave, or they think leaving is easier said than done. And then it's, the other side of things where, you want to be hopeful. You could say that there's strategy behind this or whatever. The new guy that's in, there could be a vote of non-confidence. Maybe the provinces start taking matters into their own hands, which it looks like Alberta is already starting to kind of poke that bear. The Lone Star province of Canada, if you will.
Yeah.
And, it's an unfortunate thing that me personally, I feel just can't get better at this point. That's just my own personal opinion. I feel like social media has highlighted a lot of things, and this clown that was in for 9 years only amplified a lot of those issues. But like, I left Canada as soon as I could, and that was before any of this stuff went on. And
Yeah.
the reason why I say that is because, if you're somebody who's driven and seeking opportunity and, wanting to be able to create something bigger than what's around you, well, Canada only has a few large cities. Like, to put this in perspective, right, guys, like the state of California has more population than all of Canada put together. The US and Canada are the same land mass, give or take. Lots uninhabitable, but the land is there. So when you have Vancouver as an option, Toronto as an option, Montreal as an option, you're talking like three major cities, metropolis that are
Calgary.
Calgary, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That I guess are noteworthy. It'd be like saying San Antonio, Houston, Dallas, Austin.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that's the whole country, not big cities in one state. And then we all know what the cost of living in a major city looks like, smaller square footage, higher price per square feet. So if you want to try and make it, well, you're trying to make it with the odds against you. So why wouldn't you go somewhere where there's more cities, more opportunity, more whatever, which was sort of my approach. That, and I hated the weather.
Cheaper taxes.
Cheaper taxes. I don't care what anyone says. Seasonal affective disorder is a thing. You know what I mean? You're in snow, you're in cold for 4 or 5 months of the year. You got dark when you're leaving in the morning. It's dark by the time you get home. You're not getting vitamin D. And it's just a kind of different mentality that I didn't want to be a part of, or I wanted to be able to seek other things, right? So what happened, or what has happened, I feel, is it sucks. It really does, because there's a lot of bad, and I don't think that's like, I don't want to drill into the politics. I just kind of want to like surface level, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
the only people that can make change are yourselves. You know what I mean? Like, I know Canadians have been complaining for God knows how many years. And it's like, even when I visit, it's like, oh, the government, or oh, this, or oh, taxes, or I'm living my paycheck to paycheck. And I know there's a lot of that in the US, but it's not the same. The passive aggressive behavior that Canadians have does not exist down here. The amount of immigration influence doesn't exist down here the way that it does there. People here get on with their lives. As bad as politics are down here, we can still go to work, hang out with our friends, and do things, and not just be complaining about the bullshit that's happening that's not out of our control, essentially, anyways. So that's kind of the key points that I wanted to bring out, to say, like, if you want to move or you're really unhappy, only you can do that. And unfortunately, folks, it's not easy. Like, people are like, oh, I'm just going to move to the US, or I'm just going to move over there. Well, somebody's probably got a mom or a dad or some relatives, or you got some kids, or look at Gary, you know,
Yeah.
daughter's wife with, you know, mom not in the best of health, you know, all that stuff. Like, you got to be prepared to say, okay, am I willing to uproot my life? Um, am I willing to make the changes and the adjustments that need to be done in order to make that change? And then you get discouraged real quick, and then you find yourself in this almost rock and a hard place of, I'm pissed off that I can't make the change, and it's all because of, you know what I mean, the result of this election. And then you just become this grumpy bear. And that's a lot of the messaging that I've received, which, again, only you can fix the grumpy bear.
Yeah.
And I think that
Well,
that's kind of the important part that I wanted to, based on the messages I got. So that's sort of why I
yeah.
wanted to kind of encapsulate that and address, you know, because everyone's like, how do I get down there? How did you do it? You know, I want out of this place. Like, that was all the messaging.
Yeah.
So,
I think one of the other points there, buddy, that you skipped over, but I know you didn't mean to, is just like it's not expensive, or it's very expensive to go through this journey of potentially swapping countries, right? Ton of work. There's a lot of finances involved to make it happen. Yeah, it actually it's funny because looking at it from an outsider's perspective that wants to consider doing this, we look at it like, holy smokes, this is expensive and a lot of work, whatever. Now, as the insider, i.e., like, you know, multi-generation American or whatever, you're going to be like, I like hearing that. You know what I mean? Like, that's going to weed out a lot of deadbeats and a lot of people that we don't want. So, you know, there's two ways of looking at this, right? Now, then you've got the third way of looking at it, which was 4 years of open borders and, you know, zip down to Mexico, jump the river, and you're in. But whatever, we won't go there. Actually, dude, this is kind of a sidebar, but not really. It correlates to all this too. Nick, kind of met him at Pitts, but had been an online buddy for quite some time. He reached out after last week's pod and said, Jesus Christ, guy, like, you guys talking about what it costs to live these days. He's like, you know, I'm nowhere near that amount of money, but we're doing okay. I said, you know what? We probably did a shitty job at really explaining sort of where we were coming from. Keep in mind, you got two Canadians here too, and the two of us talk about how expensive it is to exist in Canada. So a lot of this is coming from that perspective, right? Hence the reason why any of us that have half a brain between our ears want to get the hell out of here. But so yeah, for anyone that caught that and they were going like, what are these two fucking guys talking about? Like, you know, we live off way less than that. There are definitely places in the world that you can. A lot of them are in the States and obviously third world and whatever. But Canada is truly that expensive. Like I tell people, because this is something that most everyone can relate to. We are a family of 5 and I have 3 girls, right? So they eat like birds. It's not like I'm feeding football players, right? We spend, like, on a good month where we really watched our pennies, we spend $2,000 bare minimum on food. And when I say that, I don't want you to think that like we're down at the local health food store buying like grass-fed beef and shit. We're living off hamburger and chicken thighs, like 2 of the cheapest meats that you can buy. And I'm not being hyperbolic at all. I'll take pictures of my freezer. Oh, if I took a picture of my freezer, you'd laugh because there's not much in it. Like, I'm being dead serious when I say all this. Like, it is that expensive just on the food front alone to exist up here. And this has all happened since this last guy that had 9 years worth of fuckery devastating this country. Like I can remember when we lived in Calgary, you know, like going to Costco as families do, because you got to buy in bulk and stuff. And I can remember going by and going, oh yeah, you know what? Let's get some steaks, right? Like just like anyone else would that likes eating red meat. And we would buy, whether it was New York's or fillets, and you could buy like a proper package of say 4 fillets for you know, depending on weight, let's say 35 to 40 bucks, right? Those steaks right now at my local Costco cost 80 to 90. Same fucking steaks, same weight, same everything. 80 to $90 to buy 4 steaks. Like, you're crowding restaurant pricing, even in Canada, at those prices.
Yeah. And like, to be fair too, a lot of that exists down here, like with food particularly. Like, there are things that are just absolutely outrageous in comparison in Canada, like cell phones and insurance and all those things.
Well, I don't mind sharing that either, dude. My kids are on these, like, whatever, $15 a month plans, right? Where they get like so many minutes and like a little bit of data, whatever. So that's their plans. Okay. 2 kids, 15 bucks each. Me and my wife and my business line. So whatever, call it like 2 main plans and then like a third line that's just whatever, hovering in the fucking ether. $350 every month.
Unreal. And you still get charged for incoming, probably.
No, we don't. But like, if I want to call Bill Butler,
Yeah,
I'm 75 cents a minute. Like,
Unreal.
you guys calling up this way is free. If you wanted to call Mexico, it's free. Not here. You can call all across Canada. That's it. I want to call the States, 75 cents a minute.
Unreal. Especially like when you're so close to the border too. I never understood that concept and how that worked, but
it's extortion.
Yeah, and it's sort of like anywhere that you're at in Canada, it's like living in a big city. And I think, like yourself, you're making it work, right? But
Mm-hmm.
and it's not like you're starving, but there's a lot of money being wasted as a result of, you know, what's happened and the quality of life at the end of the day. It's like just squeezing, like you're this lemon, and you know what I mean? One day you're going to like stop being able to produce juice, and you know, that's going to be it. And that's like really the sad part of, because like Canada is beautiful, and Canada has a lot of great things going for it. It was always, you know, like if you were traveling and it's like, oh, you're from Canada, like you're the land of the apologetic sorry people and everyone's so friendly. And like, man, I saw the shift. I saw literally that second term when Clown Boy got in. He changed the rules. He changed it that second time that non-residents could vote. So what do you think happened? All of those people that went to Canada and got their passports and left were now all able to vote, most likely in favor of their relatives or whatever else that would end up helping them. And not to say, you know, I mean, stuff against immigration, but like there needs to be policy, and there needs to be, you can't let people vote that aren't even residing in the country. And literally, I've met so many people that took Canada as a laughing stock. Like, it's just literally there to print passports to allow people in, you know, give handouts and give all these opportunity to everybody, but their own. And I think that that's where a lot of people are pissed off right now, is that everybody's getting handouts. Everybody's riding off the system. Everybody was upset of inflation and everything else. But as soon as they started thinking about, oh, my security blanket's going to be possibly ripped out from underneath me, well, I want my security of my Linus blanket. And, you know, there Canada is.
Yeah, man. We have definitely, like, in the last 9-10 years, we've forgotten what Canada was all about. We forgot what it's like to be Canadian. And it's been this like death by 1,000 cuts type scenario, you know? Yeah. I mean, the way that I've kind of summed it up. So there's a story that I've heard recently about this guy that was so working for a certain outfit and was causing some ruckus in and amongst the office, right? And this is a government office too. So causing some ruckus, and then that sort of got swept under the rug, and then moves on to like causing some ruckus after hours in a bar with people that he works with, and that got swept under the rug. And then there was some cars that got keyed. No one can prove who did it, but like there was some rumors flying and all this stuff. Anyway, and then like I think it ramped up to like almost like not death threats, but like, there was some threats thrown out by this individual, on and on and on, right? And one would think, when you've pushed your luck that far, especially in Canada, where like, you explained it as like the land of sorry and like, acceptance and whatever, like what people used to know Canada as. We've gotten so far to the other end of it. This individual is still employed. This individual is getting to come back to work. Like, and what it makes me think of, and maybe this just sums up how simple my mind is, but like, if you wonder why your dog mooches at the table, it's because you fed them from the table. Like, do it once and you're toast for the rest of your life. Like, whether it's humans or dogs or whatever it is, like, go down to Galveston and feed the fucking dolphins off the dock. Like, do it for a month and they'll start coming to you. You know what I mean? We all are creatures of habit. And the minute that you start relaxing certain situations that make up what a country stands for, next thing you know, it's out of control. And you don't even know how it got. Well, I know how it got out of control. You started the process. You fed them from the table when you shouldn't have. And now it's gone so far that nobody even knows how to like scramble and get back to square again.
Yeah. And well, that's sort of the other thing too, right? Like the definitions of the, lower, mid, and upper class. I know there's the whole conspiracy about like, let's just wipe out the middle class, and you know what I mean? Everybody will get this socialized care or provisions, if you will. I think that's just a natural thing that's occurring as a result of the decisions and everything else that have been made, right? Like, and I find it very interesting that the wealthy people still choose, or the people that are making it, like they must be making it so well, you know what I mean, at everybody else's expense, that, they still choose to be there. Because I wouldn't want to choose to be there. Like if I had a bunch of money, no. You know what I mean? So it's odd from that perspective. And it really makes you wonder, well, who's driving? It kind of makes sense at that point. You know what I mean? So the people with money are doing well because of however they've managed to structure and do things and pockets that they're in, because they always say follow the money. And then you got all these other people that are living off everything. And then you wonder why the vote went the way that it did. And I think, that's where a lot of people need to realize there's not enough decision makers left to sway it any other way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so too.
Right. So it's sort of like, don't kid, like it's at a point where I would personally say, if you're an individual, you're in your 20s, you're in your 30s or whatever, and you have the ability, you're not locked down, don't think you're going to stay there and make the change that you're expecting to see in your lifetime. Like, don't get me wrong, you want to fight that battle, you want to get into politics, you want to be the whatever, the dawn of change for Canada, all the power to you. But I personally believe it's a losing battle at this point. And like from a stress perspective, quality of life perspective, opportunity perspective, all of those things, there's better places to be, unfortunately, this day and age. Like that's kind of where it's like this sad reality, right? Because like if you ask me, let's say the US went sideways, you'd find me back in the Middle East, or you're going to find me somewhere else. It's not going to be, I mean, I love to visit Canada. Don't get me wrong, vacation thing or whatever, or maybe there's an opportunity there, but for day to day, no way.
Yeah, it's too tough. I know that the sad reality is, for someone that's going to listen to this and go like, oh yeah, I remember going to Canada when I was 10, or you know what I mean? Like in the 90s or whatever, early 2000s.
Didn't need a passport, just a driver's license.
Well, yeah, there was that too. Yeah. But that is no longer Canada. Like, sure, you might be able to, drive through a national park and remember some of that, and that'll somewhat look the same. But when it comes to just society in general, like, we're a completely different Canada.
Yeah.
And to Chris's point, I'm of the same opinion. I don't know that I don't know how you save it. I mean, I think we've gone so far that it's almost like it'll take like, multiple decades to try to like
You would
swing it back.
you'd almost need a dictator. You know what I mean? Like, I think Australia might have been very similar until they came out and was just like, hey, listen, you're coming into this country. This is what we believe in. This is the language that we speak, and and if you don't like it, get the fuck out. The
Right.
problem, Canada can never use language like that. But that,
Yeah.
at the same time, is pretty much the only thing that would work at this stage, I feel, because there's just, it's the numbers don't lie, right? Like,
Yeah.
there's just too much on the other side. Like, unless you stick it to them or you put in crazy policies, or like you're saying, this guy that still has a job and everything else, and you start flipping that around, there'll be civil wars. And then the worst part is then people actually start to get angry. Then they want to fight for something. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, man. That's why it's frustrating. And I'm really sorry, you know what I mean, to anybody that's upset, or, because at the end of the day, I'm not surprised. But you do have to ask yourself, you know what I mean? What do you want? How are you going to get there? Set some, and this all comes kind of down to the corporate switch, or call it the country switch, or the whatever. It's sad, man. It really is. I'm kind of beside myself. Like, to be honest with you, the 51st state, that'd fix it.
Yeah.
Like, it's not the right move, but it would, like, you need something that drastic at this point to like make a change like that happen. Because like, otherwise, like you said, you need to stop all immigration, start a new policy based on anybody coming in, heavy retention focus, or contribution to society, or getting kicked out, like heavy monitoring. And that would just be a whole, you're kind of going against Canadian. Again, the pendulum needs to swing beyond Canada's values or their mantra, because they let it slip.
Well, it's funny. I seen it wasn't like a documentary, but it was like a news piece that was kind of documentary-esque, and they were interviewing a lot of these new immigrants, that because the underlying tone that was coming from a lot of them is they're like, we think we might have screwed up by moving here, right? So that's what got my attention. And I'm like, well, okay, how do they feel that way, right? First and foremost, it's too expensive for them. They can't even get a start. Secondly, it's too goddamn cold, right? And they're like, yeah, like we were just sold a shitty bill of goods here. The other one was the healthcare system is awful, and it was better in the third world country that I came from. Like, there's all these things, and why I say all that, and I know I'm glad you said this, dude, because I'm sure that there's a couple people out there we're going to ruffle feathers with on this, but I'm hoping that if they're still listening, this might paint the picture a little broader for where we're coming from here. Until you go out and experience a whole nother place, or a whole nother way of life, or a whole nother way of doing things, you can really truly be blind and not even know it at how crazy your current situation is, right? It's like, I don't know, if you lived out in the bush somewhere with an abusive partner, right? And you had no other comparison to be like, yeah, like this chick's beating the shit out of me every night. Like, maybe that's normal. I don't know, right? If you don't have that other context that you can draw upon, you might not even know how bad your situation really truly is. And much like the example of like how to boil a frog, right? Just keep turning the heat up on them. That's kind of where we're coming from on this whole discussion. The heat's just slowly been turned up. It's definitely been turned up a little quicker over the last 9-10 years. But for a long time, even before Captain Clown Nuts there got in, the heat's always been turned on the Canadian people. And I mean, as long as I have been like contributing to society and stuff, we've always had a messed up tax, like income tax situation. Messed up by meaning like a very expensive income tax. Well, maybe when we were younger, I don't know. I was in a small town, so like our healthcare system didn't seem all that bad. But I mean, we also had a hospital with like 3 beds in it. It's like out of 2,500 people, not a lot of people are breaking fucking legs every day. So I didn't notice it, but it wasn't until I moved to a bigger center and especially had kids where that's when healthcare becomes key. You're like, what is going on here? Like, there's people in the hallways that are dying. What the fuck is going on, right? This is this whole free healthcare system that everybody that doesn't have it seems to rave about. And don't get me wrong, like on the surface, when you see this on paper, it makes a lot of sense, but it's still messed up,
Yeah.
And every single election and every single year, it's a talking point for these guys that are all making ridiculous salaries to be some figurehead that quite literally, okay, this will paint the picture pretty good. The last guy, when he decided he was going to resign and then they were going to hold this little inter-party election, he did what's called proroguing parliament, which means everyone go home. We're pausing the discussion in the House of Commons, right? So that was done, right around Christmas time, I think it was, right? Or early January, he did that.
It was around the new year.
And then fast forward to just the other day. So now we're 4 months in. This federal election takes place and we get a new prime minister. Well, we're like days away from them going on summer holidays. Like, these fucking guys get more time off from work than your kids do at school or like a university student would.
Yeah.
And these guys are all making, 200, 300, 400 grand a year plus to like bicker in the House of Commons. I mean, it just on every level, there's just so much messed up about it. And sorry to the American folks that are listening to this. I don't know if you guys even care. I mean, I think truly though, like North Americans, right? We're all kind of brothers and sisters in arms. You know what I mean? Like, we're all whatever from the same rock. So from that standpoint, I could probably see some people going like, holy shit, really? Like, they're getting the shit kicked out of them that bad up there. That's wild, But on the other side of things, it's like, hey, we all got enough of our own problems to worry about. I can't worry about someone else's problems. But this is kind of a sense of what goes on and what's been going on up here. And
I think with what you said, though, it's kind of it's a one-way road, because I don't think to the average American what's happening in Canada doesn't faze them. Like, maybe of interest, or they hear something in the news, but Canadians sure as hell have a serious interest in what's happening down here. And like fixated on it. And in fact, it's probably one of the largest impacts of the result, right? Like painting the whole, so-and-so is like Trump and fear tactic of 51st state and all of these things, again, made them all run back to their security blankets. And a lot of this fabricated stuff, even about traveling to the US, it's unsafe for Canadians right now. And they're going to go through your phone, and you got to fill out this form if you're staying for longer than 30 days, which that form always existed. They're not saying anything new. Just nobody ever fucking questioned it before because nobody cared. Um, it's all that stuff, unfortunately, that, really makes a difference. And that's kind of and we saw it with COVID and all of those other things. And that's the sad part, right? Nobody's really
Yeah.
thinking for themselves. Everybody's playing dirty games. So the only thing you can do, going back to the point, comes down to you as an individual. How do you want to change? What impact do you want to make? How do you want to do it? Because somebody isn't doing it for you.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. And as far as like takeaways that I can possibly add to this for anyone out there that's whatever, either agreeing or probably more to the people that are disagreeing, like just broaden your information intake as wide as possible, right? Like, even if you think that the information you might be trying to consume is crazy, just consider it. Okay. You don't have to agree with it, but just consider it and see where it gets you. Because, like I was saying earlier, unless you're going to transplant yourself somewhere and hang out in amongst the locals of another area for an extended period of time, you're not going to have that contrast to really truly see just how messed up this is. Because, like the frog in a pot, like this has been going on a long time. And I mean, yeah, I don't know. It just, buddy, going back to your point on that whole crossing the border and going through your phone and all this, funny enough, I saw that. I don't think it was until we were home already from Tennessee, but it just popped up as I was admittedly in a death scroll one night going through Instagram search reels, right? And the ad pops up and I was like, wait a minute, go back. What the hell was that? And I read it and I'm like, okay, who put this out? Right? Like, you go down to see whose account it was from or whatever. And this was literally from like the government of Canada's whatever site. You know what I mean? Like, this was a legitimate advertisement. And I'm like, from the point that I stand in life, like knowing what I know and all of that, I read that and I'm like, I have never in all of my years seen something so propagandistic as that. Because I just, like, days earlier crossed that line. And I'm like, now, okay, sure, you can make let's straw man this, right? You can make the argument, maybe I got a guy that was just going on coffee break or whatever, right? And he didn't do what he was supposed to do. But I have yet to talk to a single individual that has had that style of treatment. Yeah. And then there was, the story of the gal that whatever did all that jerking around down in the San Diego border or whatever. And
she tried to falsify a TN visa. Rightfully so, deport her ass. That story got completely manipulated.
150%, man. And this is what I'm trying to say to you folks. Like, for any of you that think that what Chris and I have said to this point is crazy, just dig a little bit deeper. Okay. And I'm not saying I buy all of it, but I'm just saying it'll make you go, okay. That's all. Just, I don't know, step out of the hot pot for a little bit and look around.
Like fact checking. And, we talked about this, I think last week, on like, where's your references coming from? Is it Wikipedia or is it Google results, or now is it on Instagram, right? Like, I try to always do my best to speak of things that I know. So I know, like, for instance, this girl that Gary was just talking about, that was deported. I know it's bullshit because I've gone through the TN visa process 2 times. I know what the result is. I know how they tried to sell that story. So I can personally, from experience, tell you that was complete and utter bullshit. As living here versus living in Canada versus living in Australia versus living in the Middle East, those are all things that I can in confidence talk about. Whereas there's a lot of people that are like, oh, so-and-so, blah, 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 this happened to them and they live over here and this is the way that it is because they told me so. It's like, were you there? Do you know them? Like,
totally.
And people are believing this shit. You know what I mean? Like, that's
Wasn't she working for like a marijuana company too? Like, that's kind of a shady little, like, don't get me wrong, I get it. Up in Canada here, I think coast to coast, it's now legal or whatever the hell it is, right? I don't mess around with that shit. But down in the States, it ain't, right? And then, you throw this little hopscotch that you did back and forth to Mexico, and then you want to just come back in as a visitor. It's like, you're fucking the system here, lady. And then it's the big sob story. I was on a concrete floor with a tinfoil blanket. It's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it's supposed to be like when you break the law and you go to jail.
Yeah, you commit fraud to try and enter a fucking country.
Yeah. I'm sorry, but I don't really see where you're coming from.
And that was the thing. It was sold as, all I wanted to do is get back home to Canada. At least that was the version that I heard. So, I'm going to get in from Mexico to San Diego and fly home. Well, folks, here's another one. If she really wanted to go home to Canada, she could have booked a flight from Mexico to fucking Canada, because they can't deny you entry into your own goddamn country.
Bingo.
So,
I know, pal. This is the thing though, but I know that we could have this conversation with someone that just, I don't know, it's as if the valves shut off on the ears. This just does not add up for them, and they're completely on the other side of it. And I don't know, maybe I've just really exercised my logic muscle for 44 years and some people haven't. I don't know. But when I hear these situations, I'm like, I remember, I think the wife had sent me a little clip on this whole story of this woman or whatever. And I'm like, right away, I said, something's fishy with this. Either she did something jacked up. Well, I said, chances are she probably did something that was jacked up. Because I'm like, you don't just get thrown in jail for fucking no apparent reason. Let's be honest here. And even if you did, shortly thereafter, let's say an hour into your time behind bars, they're going to go, whoops, fuck, we're real sorry. We're going to make this up to you, whatever. It was the heat of the moment or whatever. But I don't know. This thing hit national news level, and I'm just like, something is missing in this story for sure. Actually, dude,
I think they played off it. It was more about the result of what would happen having such a story out in the media. It was sort of like a, I hate US campaign to Canadians.
Right.
Is the way that I saw that.
Did you guys watch that series Reacher?
No.
Okay, so I think it's based off the Jack Reacher, Tom Cruise movies or whatever, but there's a series that has this whatever dude, Alan something is his name, and a great big motherfucker. This guy's just an absolute brick shithouse, right? Anyway, I caught this clip of him recently. I think he's on a podcast or maybe he's on a talk show or something. And he's talking about being on some sort of a show when he was trying to make his way into Hollywood. It almost sounded like something like American Idol, but more of a full blown, American Idol meets
America's Got Talent.
No, what was that show where they all lived under the same house?
Oh, Big Brother?
Big Brother. Yeah. Almost something like that. And he goes, yeah, so I get there and we all got to write a song, and I write my song. And he goes, I was like that as a kid. I used to love writing music and whatever. So he got his done real quickly. And then he moved on to help other people around him or whatever, because they were having some brain fog and stuff. And anyway, off camera, they pull him out of the room, and they pulled some gal out of the room too. And both good looking people, right? And they're like, yeah, check this out. There's this pool here. Don't you want to get in it? I guess, I don't know. Right. And he's young and dumb and whatever. Yeah, shit, whatever. Board shorts, boom, he's in the pool. Well, don't you guys want to splash around and play a little bit? And he's like, I don't know, give her a little splash, whatever. And so anyway, fast forward to when the show actually comes out, and now they're telling a story, right? For Hollywood purposes. And he goes, I'll be damned if the way the story goes is, I'm in there and I'm doing my thing. And then I just whatever, kind of I don't even know if I can finish this, but I'm going to just put the pen down. So they sell it like that, like he's kind of given up, and bails in the pool with this broad. And oh yeah, they're just fucking around, splashing each other and whatever. He's like, that's not what happened at all. Like, you've got to be kidding me, right? Yeah. And it reminds me of a lot of this stuff, right? Like just the way things are spun.
Yeah.
And it, to someone that I think I'm usually like 99% of the time, I can smell shit pretty fast. Not to say that I haven't been fleeced in my day, but I'm pretty good. I got a good sniffer. Like when I see this stuff, I just instantly like my skin starts crawling. And then what scares me is I'm like, are people actually fucking buying into this? Like
Yeah.
how can like two, like same species see the same thing and have completely different understandings of it? It's
Yeah.
really truly amazing to me, man.
Yeah. No, it's
Like it'd be like you arguing with me that that car's not green. It's that fucking obvious.
hey, it's whatever that car wishes to identify.
Yeah, true.
Oh, crazy world, man. Yeah, no, I don't know. Oh, Canada. Literally.
Yeah, I know, man. It I was talking to a friend of mine here recently, like just actually yesterday, and she was talking about like, well, it was something along these lines of the conversation we're having. And I said to her, I'm like, do you notice that there's like just a different tone about life these days? Like, and I'm specifically referring to like Canadian society and stuff. Like, do you notice there's just a different tone? Like people aren't really as nice. Like, you definitely don't get somebody holding a door if they're, outside of the common zone where you would hold a door anymore. Like nobody is going over and above. And she's like, Christ, I like every day in traffic, it's like there's just road rage everywhere. Um, and whatever, that's maybe a thing on its own. Even if you're living in like Hawaii, I'm sure there's some road rage going on. But I'm like, yeah, I said, like, oh, there's a video that's gone viral. Fuck, I shared it with you there. Snoop
Oh,
Dogg's posted it. Did I tell you that actually? Snoop
no,
Dogg threw it in his reels
no shit.
of
The old
these guys
Kelowna
strapped.
golf cart battle.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's definitely a tension that you can feel. I mean, if you're kind of tuned into the energy in a room, you can feel a tension, and it's not good, man. Like, that it's not good for, well, the people, the adults that are trying to make society move. It's definitely not good when you get home and you got to deal with like kids and getting them to their sports and all the rest of it. It just really makes for a really terrible experience.
Yeah. Well, and you know what? Maybe it'll just be the shift of Canada, right? Like the first generation people that left their countries to seek out a better place. That might change. There might be now Canadians that are leaving to seek out a better place, and Canada is just going to turn into something else. And
Yeah.
it's just sort of the way that it's going to be. It'll be like the Canadian Revolution. I don't know.
Maybe, man. You know, I sure as hell hope I'm not like getting to a point in all this where I'm over explaining it, but yeah, like something's got to give. I mean, as much as this conversation probably to some seemed like it revolved around politics, like I just want everybody to know my politics are logic, freedom,
Mm.
uh, peace, like I truthfully, I mean, well, here's another wild one. I mean, I don't even know if what constitutes the various party names, right? Like what makes a conservative and what makes a liberal is even the same as it was 10, 15 years ago.
It's funny. I was thinking the same thing the other day. Just like, what is the definition of those? Because like liberals are kind of anything but liberal. Because how do you
Yeah.
associate? How are you a communist or a socialist and a liberal at the same time? You're anything but.
100%.
You know,
Yeah.
like it's so contradictory. No, I agree with you, man. I'm on the same thing. It's like, what's the quality of life? Where do you want to live?
Yeah.
What kind of, like, you know what I mean? Like me, it was, I need sunshine, I need good car culture, cost of living, those types of things. And if you're not happy with it, like, politics can drive some of that, but Middle East, I was in a dictatorship, if you will, or however you
Yeah.
want to call that, and it probably had the best democracy I've ever witnessed in my lifetime. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, it's yeah, you get a better quality of life over there. Like, even the US, we're wound up tight here as well. Like, everything's go, go, go. Like, we're robots. We work more than we should. Everything else, like, I'm not trying to say the US is the answer. I don't think it necessarily is. It's just the closest option in most cases. Um, but like, man, even when I go to the small towns, or you know what I mean, the island life and whatever, and you just see how, like, you're waiting in line at the checkout, and they're having a fucking conversation about their dogs, or they saw each other last week or something, and it's just like, fuck, come on, I need to get back to what I was doing. And then it's like, whoa, 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 be careful for what I ask for here. Let
Yeah.
me just friggin' unwind for a second and enjoy, you know what I mean? Like, people being people and real stuff being real stuff, and not, this work will always be there.
Yeah. I agree, man. And going back to what you said earlier, this is a real good way to like kind of put a bow on this. Is you said, well, something to the effect of like, it boils down to you and like what you want. Like, don't depend on someone else to make those decisions for you. Like, that's the thing that I truly think, well, all of Canada needs to remember is like, hey, regardless of what those bozos want to do, okay, let them do it. Like, what matters is the way that you are to your neighbor and the way that you are to the gal that's ringing through your groceries or whatever, right? Like, that's where it all starts, because right now we're living in a world that the head of the snake is just spewing poison all over the fucking body and tail of it, and we're at the tail end of it going like, shit, like we don't even know if we're getting poisoned here, like what's going on. Well, it's time to flip that around. Okay, like it's time for the tail of the snake to start fucking telling the head what to do, and it starts with all of us, right? And how you live your life. Like, if you want to operate on freedom, logic, peace, love, all that good stuff, then just do that in your own life, and that will hopefully encourage someone else to do it, and so on and so forth. um because yeah, I don't know, we've reached a point where we're, and I think probably by design, just turning into robots, where like that stupid ad I was telling you about that popped up in Instagram reels, people read that and go, oh my god, right? It's like, have you even been to the border, or do you know someone that has? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So I
Well,
don't
I
know,
think
I
to
think
your point too, right? Like, I think although social media is really good at allowing people to stay connected, I think in like your day-to-day life, like if you're whatever, if you're like, I can't leave, but I'm upset that I can't leave, or whatever it is, like Gary said, do the things that can make you feel good about yourself. But more importantly, find other people that think the way that you do, and make time to be around those people that share the same mindset, that you can just, because like, if I wasn't in the situation that I was in and I was up there, it'd sort of be like, okay, I know that if me and Gary decided, whatever, I go west or he goes fucking east, and shop dad and whatever, and it's almost like, I mean, you build your own community of people, and like, make boundaries and whatever, like, have the same things that we talked about of, don't fucking talk politics at the dinner table. Enjoy,
yeah.
go out for that car cruise that we talked about. Shit, what was that we were saying that they do the meetup thing? Was that you?
Oh, with BJ, they go for
Yeah, with
breakfast.
BJ. Yeah, go do the fucking breakfast thing, and like, leave the cell phones at home. Like, stop worrying about everybody else's pond. Stay in your pond, and
Yep.
like, make that, you know what I mean, is what's the word?
Focus on that.
Yeah, focus on that. Make it as qualitative as possible, and stop worrying about everything else. Like, and you can live a decent life. Like, yeah, you're going to get taxed, your cost of living's high, but It's like living downtown in the city. You know what I mean? It's just sort of, you pick that situation, that's where you are. And as long as you can own it, you can make it the best you can.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so true, man. I know, because the point of me bringing up that whole like political party thing, don't get me wrong, I refer to myself in a certain way, and but I do that somewhat, like, I feel that way, but if you wanted to really sit here and like pick apart the little nuts and bolts, well, first you got to start like with like each one of the pillars that you're like, if you're gonna, this is always the weird part for me with like signing up for anything, is it's like, are you meaning to tell me that like you will go to your grave on every single one of these like black and white points that make that party that party? Because if that's the case, like, I don't know if we're going to get along all that well, because like I question a lot, I question everything, you know?
Well, there's
And
not
so
one right solution to satisfy all, right?
that's just it.
And there's everybody that's like, oh, well, if I were president or if I were prime minister, I guarantee anybody who has ever said that statement, you would not want that fucking job. Like
Yeah.
right now, don't even pretend like you can fight it. Don't even pretend like you can let that bullshit exist. Don't let it impact your life is probably the best advice. And that's going back to my point of down here. Everybody thinks, that, oh my God, blah, 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 shit's going crazy. It's not. Living a normal life down here. Nobody's messing in our business. We're fine, doing good. Like, stop worrying about shit that you're not in control of. Focus on you.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause a good example of that for me is, so I'll try and like, cross thread, the two party system into like how confusing a certain situation can get from the two sides. So, I think that, say a single mom that was down on her luck
And you
and
love the
needs
single
help.
moms.
Well,
I'm
I
gonna
know.
get you a single mom t-shirt. Anyways, go
Yeah.
carry
Yeah. I love single moms. But yeah, or okay, single dad. That might fit better these days. Anyways, so you got somebody that's down on their luck, and do I think that there should be a way that they can get some sort of assistance, much like various religious groups are like this, right? They'll contribute like say 10% of their check to a hopper, and somebody inside the church needs money, it goes to like the places in need, right? So kind of like that. So let's say single mom down on her luck, has to, whatever. I hate using the word welfare, but you know what I mean? Like get some of that from the state, the province, the country, whatever. Now, so that would be, say, more a liberal minded way of doing things, right? Now, bringing in the conservative end of it. So, single mom, you've been down on your luck now for about 30 days, right? How are we doing? Like, are we, are you finding time to like exercise? Have you been applying for jobs? Have you, like, there needs to be a move forward path. Like, this isn't just a never ending tap that you get to exist on, right? Like, you can't stay on forever. Yeah. No, I'm trying. Okay, we're meeting again next month. Next month, we come by. Hey, it smells like cigarette smoke in here, right? Are you smoking? Now, I know this sounds kind of dictatorial, right? Dictatorship type shit, but it's like, you don't get to fucking smoke if you're on this program. Like, if you can afford smokes, you can surely afford rent or whatever that is. So this is now the more conservative angle of it, right? And I fall right dead center. I'm like, I'm willing to give you a hand, but don't fucking bite the hand that feeds you. Like, don't screw this up, you know?
Yeah. Well,
So
that and you got all of those moms that are, citizens and passport holders and whatever else, and then you got a whole influx of brand new people coming in the country getting more handouts than the people that were already here to begin with. And
citizens.
citizens. And And then, yeah, you just have a clusterfuck between that. Like, oh yeah, come here and study. But yeah, you don't need to go to school. Like, go drive an Uber or fucking go rob some cars, steal some cars and stick them in shipping containers or God knows whatever else they're doing. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's tough, man. It really is. It's all about balance. Life is about balance. Politics about balance. Everything else. But yeah, there's way too much up there for me to ever want to get involved in it. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
It's like being the boss of a company. You know what I mean? You got to deal with the legal matters and like the shit. If you know what I mean, the higher you are, the harder you fall. That whole
Yeah.
thing, and who knows? Who knows the dynamics? If we got into like the large conspiracy theories, this could be someone's plan. This all has to do with the pillars underneath the pyramids and
True.
everything else that's going on, the drones that are flying around, and that's why Canada is the way that it is. Like
Maybe.
tinfoil
Yeah,
hats
man.
for everybody.
I know. Yeah. Who knows where it all goes? I guess just trust the process and try to have as much fun along the way as you can, right? But
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe we've bored people enough with all this shit, hey?
Yeah.
If they haven't turned out already.
Well, hopefully one person will take some sort of angle of that and tweak it to their everyday life, hold a door for an elderly lady or say I'm sorry or some shit, and it'll all be worthwhile.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, maybe we'll finish off on a little bit of a high low note here. I'll give you a quick little update on the green car.
Right.
So
I
I
saw you
don't,
doing pulls.
yeah, yeah. Okay, so a couple things. I don't think my re-thread sealing that head bolt did me any favors. I hate to say it, but I think maybe I got a loose head gasket.
Uh
Yeah, I got a little bit of a I don't know what you call a light puddle. Puddle
yeah.
just sounds big, you know. I got a drip.
Well, it always
Um,
looks bigger than it is when it's on that nice epoxy floor.
yeah, true, true. So there's that about that. Um, I still, for some oddball reason, I'm still getting low boost readings.
Hmm. Didn't
Yeah,
sound like I heard the blower in your one video from the front side.
right.
So it's spooling. But guess what, my friend?
Hmm.
It's blowing out that head gasket.
Yeah, I know. So whatever. I've kind of hummed and hawed over that one. I mean, I definitely don't want to rush. Like that's not a fix that I have any interest in making anytime. To be honest, like probably period. Like I think a new motor would be in the mix before I fix that head gasket.
Oh man, there's just so
So
much. If it wasn't for the blower and everything else, like, yeah,
yeah,
and it's on the wrong side,
yeah.
right? Yeah. Yeah.
So there's that. Low boost. Uh, Definitely have fixed my vent tank vent, and so that's good to go. However, I think where I'm going, what I'm trying to say here is, I don't know that we've got all the bugs worked out in this tune.
Yeah.
I've had it fall on me a couple of times. I have come to find though, so when it was falling on its face in Pigeon Forge there, like it was hard to start afterwards. And I'm like, fuck, am I heat soaking the starter? Like, what's going on here? I think I couldn't pull any fuel out of that tank because it
Yeah.
starts real easy after it stalls now. So that's good. I
Yeah.
guess we got that fixed. But I've also got now I've Kaylee and I went out in it to kind of do like a, I don't know, air quote, first impressions drive. It was more her first impression because I've driven it a bit. And I talked to her a little bit while we're filming and driving. I've got like a hesitation on tip in.
Mm,
So between the stalling and that, I'm, leaning more towards there might be some bugs to work out in that tune still.
right. Well, shit, man.
So
The tune's kind of minimal. The head gasket thing sucks.
yeah. Truthfully, pal, and I'm not one to subscribe to this style of thinking, but I think I'm gonna in this case. I'm just gonna fucking send her, like, for what it's all worth, you know. For all
Yeah,
I know, it could stay dripping, and
I've known quite a few lightnings that have lifted heads in the corners like that, and people just you'll see it under boost, right? And then
right,
you know what I mean? That'll otherwise it'll be a normal driver as long as it's not getting into your oil,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
So
that's just it. I think it's just like creeping out in that back corner. So could be one of those scenarios that's like not even the end of the world. Now, the other side of this is if I'm going back to Matthew, I definitely want to see more boost out of this thing,
right.
which, you know what I mean? Like, I've kind of got like a couple circles spinning around my head all at the same time. Like, I think where I'm going with it all now is like, fuck it. We're going to see more boost out of it. And if that means like catastrophic head gasket failure, so be it.
Yeah. Get it to where you want, and if it happens, then you're forced to do it.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it
But yeah, I
probably
think
like,
if it,
do you just have the traditional Fel Pros or do you have like the high performance ones on there?
to be honest, buddy, I could probably find them in a photo. I don't know for sure. I definitely know they're not like just standard run of the mill.
Okay. Because like the
Yeah.
performance ones, like they almost have like a more of an O-ring looking
Yeah.
seal.
Those are the ones.
Okay. So you got the right gaskets on there in
Yeah.
theory. Yeah.
I know, right? Um, but I think like even though there's a little more leg in this car still in theory, and whatever, and would most definitely take it to a point like it's already pretty fun to drive for sure. I just think like, why would you go to all that trouble? And this is kind of guy math too, right? Like, fuck it. Let's just get a block. Let's start from the bottom and, you know,
Well,
redo it.
just a couple things. What's your thermostat currently?
180.
So I'm wondering if it's like it gets hot and then kind of lifts, or if the boost is doing it, or you know what I mean. So the reason why I say that is like, is it could you get it to run cooler and maybe it'll do it less if it's a heat thing? Um, I'm assuming what you got ARP hardware on there.
Well, sadly, no, I
So
didn't.
was it torque to yield or just like the 88, like the reusable technically guys?
I no, I did. I ran new bolts, but I did run like stock replacement bolts.
Were they torque to yield?
I don't think the ones in these small blocks are.
So I think in 91, 92 for sure is torque to yield. That's why I'm asking. So if it's flanged, if the head bolts have a flange at the bottom, they're torque to
Yep.
yield. If they're just like a flat bolt with no flange, then you can reuse them.
Oh.
So if you have a flange, you might actually not be at torque spec right now.
Hmm. Uh, I think they do have a flange on them.
Because I think when you buy them new now, they all come with the flange and it's all one-time use.
Right. Uh,
Which
I'm just
means
wondering.
you can find a pre 91 ish, whatever, non style and fucking send that down there or thread yourself in a stud and crank the fucking nut down.
See if I can get a well, because it's by no means like a bad leak. That's why I was trying to look for a different word other than puddle.
Yeah.
Um, it might be, I don't know, say if you grouped it all together, like an eighth of an inch worth of fluid in the bottom of a beer can.
Yeah. Well, all I'm saying is you might just not have the torque spec on that corner. And the corner is a vital one too. So I would, if you're flanged 100%, I'd grab a new bolt and I'd
Try it again.
send a a tap down there just to get any of the old sealant and shit out, right? So it doesn't fuck with your torque values or shit either.
The trouble with it is, though, I mean, unless I like pull the plugs and drain everything, like pulling that bolt out, you just got a great big puddle of drain.
You got to drain it, because even the fluid in that hole, I've seen that cause issue with your torque readings. Like, it should push fluid around in reality, but I just make sure that it's clean, that the sealants, or I'd drain it for the sake of peace of mind that you're getting a proper seal and that you're getting the proper torque. And then if after that it still does it, I would, if you ever have that valve cover off, I'd go after the bolt underneath the valve cover that's nearest to it.
Right.
And like double end the end and almost just whatever. I forget what the torque rating is on them, 110 or some shit. Send 130 through it. Fuck it.
I think they're like 70 or 75 or something.
It might be 90. Yeah, 75 and then 90 on the torque to yield's a 2-step, right? Like you do it all one and then you do it again with the second value. But I think, yeah, man, you probably should reuse that bolt. It could be as easy as that.
I could have swore these weren't, but well, I got some homework to do, I guess, anyway. Yeah, so anyway, that's kind of the synopsis. But funny enough, I was going to bring this up earlier when you were talking about Justin's car having a bit of an attitude in that, like, whatever, idle to 2000. Yeah. And it's kind of the same program here, right? It'll idle around fine and sort of do its thing, and wide open's fun.
Well, that's the problem with the dyno. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's why, you know what I mean? If you could data log driving it on the street, it'd probably help out tremendously.
Yeah. Okay. And then I'd be amiss if I didn't bring this up too, but like going back in the story on when I had that stock crank pulley on there and all the fucking boost in the world, I'm like, was it me fucking around in the shop, like revving it up and going, oh, listen to that. This is going to be fun. Like, you know what I mean? Was it something that simple that fucking caused me this grief? How do you know?
Like, did you do a compression test in that cylinder?
No.
I just check and see if it's down any compression. I'm assuming it's literally just that end has got a little bit of a warp or whatever in it. Because if you're not down compression, then you got nothing to worry about in reality.
Yeah. No, and sorry, I mean, I was just saying that from the perspective of like knocking that head gasket out.
Well, that's what I mean. So you'll know if the compression number is fine, you didn't do it.
Right. Yeah.
That's where.
Yeah, and it wasn't. I was being like beyond careful. I don't know. Maybe there was a couple like 4,500, 5,000 RPM quick blips, but and not knowing that I was fucking at 16.5 PSI of boost, but
you would have had like a detonation issue, if anything. I don't see you blowing the head gasket out over that.
Yeah. Yeah, true. And like nothing in the bottom end was like built for boost either, right? Like I never fucking changed my ring gap. Like it's essentially like bolting the blower onto a stock motor.
It's fine. You're still good for 500.
Yeah.
It's not like you got 93 pistons in there, which you can still tune around those as well. But I don't know. You're good for some power. But definitely
no one with that.
Now I'm really curious.
Right. Knowing what that blower's capable of, it's really got me fucking interested in like having a proper built bottom end and like some big heads and stuff. I mean,
well, that's it. Have a lot of fun. Block, AFR heads. Here we go.
I know. I gotta enjoy this fucking thing this go around for a little bit. Deal with my leak.
5-year plan. There you go.
Yeah, it's true. So anyway, buddy, yeah, let's leave her there on a giggly note. We covered a lot of shit tonight, from deaths to politics to fucking car shit. So okay, folks. Well, I don't actually, maybe we'll finish off by saying this. I've watched some comments come through as we've been doing this, and people are like, holy fuck, the echoing is hard to listen to. And so I don't know how this is going to turn out on the pod. I'll go back. It's my week to edit. I'll make sure it's half decent. If it ain't, we'll cut it. You can watch it on Instagram if you feel the need or whatever. But sad part is it was good intel. But
yeah, I think maybe what we'll do is we can go live or like just do a story like, hey, who wants to jump on this topic real quick?
Right.
And then, you know, I mean, send them the link and then they can actually come in on the pod properly, or a couple people, just kind of like a call in, if you will.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll try that. It'll be a little easier because, yeah, too many microphones and speakers probably acting up with one another.
Yeah.
That I didn't know where to look. I mean, half of them looking over here, and then I'm looking over there, you know?
I know. Holding this, doing this. Yeah. It wasn't good. But anyway, I guess we'll leave it there, folks. So thanks for listening, and we hope you guys enjoy.